Chapter 928. The fish swung its tail, stirring up stormy waves. Bufang's figure had already disappeared into the wave. As soon as he jumped into the sea, the cold seawater spread, covering Bufang's entire body. Bufang found it hard to breathe. This was the pressure of the seawater. Bufang held his breath. Bubbles gushed out of his mouth and nose. The vermilion robe rippled in the water, fluttering in the wind. A pale yellow halo twinkled. Bufang spat out some bubbles. This feeling of falling into the sea was a little uncomfortable. Bufang furrowed his brows. Then, his mind flickered, and his spirit sea surged with sky-shaking waves. A sonorous dragon roar resounded. His mental force was released. Under Bufang's careful control, it turned into a thin film, covering Bufang's body. The surrounding seawater was isolated, making the pressure disappear. Bufang opened his mouth and took a deep breath. Then, he began to stroll in the sea. Shortly after, he sank to the bottom of the sea. He needed to find a sea spirit beast that knew the way. The Black Dragon Palace was a famous place in the endless sea. The stronger sea spirit beasts should know about it. His figure fell to the bottom of the sea, stepping on the uneven seabed. Instantly, dust and sand rose, blurring everything in front of him. The scenery under the sea was different from that on land. Bufang widened his eyes, looking at the schools of fish swimming in front of him. He was a little surprised. There were colorful corals, and there were slender snake-type spirit beasts swimming in the coral. There were octopuses swaying their 8 soft legs, floating in the water. Everything was better than anyone had expected. All of a sudden, a violent tremor came from above Bufang's head. The seawater seemed to be boiling. The fishes that were swimming in front of Bufang were startled. Some of them darted out like arrows. Their speed was so fast that they disappeared in an instant. The octopus was also frightened by this movement. It spat out a pitch-black liquid that spread out, causing the surroundings to become pitch-black. At the same time, the octopus's figure shot out rapidly. Rumble! The entire seabed seemed to be shaking. Bufang was stunned. He raised his head and looked up. There, a ferocious fish opened its mouth full of sharp teeth and rushed toward Bufang. The fish was huge, slender, and had a streamlined fin on its back. When it swam, it was extremely fast. Tiger head shark? Bufang was surprised. The tiger head shark was a spirit beast at the peak of the divine physique echelon realm. Its head was like a tiger on land, and it had a ferocious king character on its forehead. Its mouth could shoot out sharp water blades. It was an extremely savage spirit beast in the sea. This kind of tiger head shark especially liked to prey on creatures with immense spirit energy. Many sea spirit beasts were their food. Perhaps it had sensed the rich spiritual energy emitting from Bufang's body after he entered the water. At this moment, the tiger head shark crazily dashed toward Bufang. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and its sharp teeth glowed coldly. Bufang stood at the bottom of the water, indifferently watching the tiger head shark swooping down on him. His face was expressionless. The vermilion robe on his body fluttered in the water. Under the pressure of the tiger head shark, all the creatures within several miles around Bufang ran away. I was worried about who to find to lead the way, and now something comes to me. Bufang looked at the tiger head shark, and he couldn't help but twitch the corners of his mouth. The tiger head shark's head enlarged in Bufang's eyes. However, Bufang didn't move. Then, the tiger head shark hit the seabed. Boom! 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 The seabed was shaken. Smoke and dust billowed, making the place hazy. Around them, many intelligent sea spirit beasts were watching. They wanted to see what would happen to that human. If the tiger head shark swallowed him, he would die. However, after a long time, the smoke and dust slowly settled. All the intelligent sea spirit beasts were startled by the scene in front of them. Because the human who had been hit didn't die. Not only that, but he had also raised one hand to stop the tiger head shark's attack. He had used one hand to stop the ferocious tiger-head shark. Bufang's face was calm. His hair was wrapped in his mental force, slowly floating. The tiger-head shark's nose was grabbed by Bufang's black and white bandaged arm, which supported the shark's giant body. "Your flesh is pretty tough." Bufang looked at the tiger-head shark indifferently, saying. Then, the bandage on his arm loosened. With a swoosh, the black and white bandages unraveled at the same time, turning into circles that bound the tiger-head shark. A bestial roar echoed. The black and white Taotai souls emerged around Bufang's arm, opening their mouths to roar unceasingly. The tiger-head shark was startled by the Taotia's aura and the Taotia's roar. It didn't think that this human could become so intimidating all of a sudden. Bufang's indifferent eyes looked at the tiger-head shark. Then, his feet stomped on the seabed, grabbing the bandage that tied the tiger-head shark. He leaped up, landing on the shark's head. The tiger-head shark was enraged, struggling unceasingly. Bufang cocked his head, raising his Taotai arm. His fist pounded. Boom! The tiger-head shark was bewildered. It was pounded to the seabed by this punch. Some of its teeth were broken, and blood gushed out. How could this human be so brutal? All of the intelligent sea spirit beasts in the surroundings were also startled by this. Bufang's feet touched the tiger-head shark's body. Instantly, a tremendous force was generated, pushing him toward the sea surface. He was like a cannonball. The tiger-head shark was tied up, but it was dragged toward the sea surface. On the netherworld ship, Yu and Hua were sitting on the deck, swinging their soft, white legs. They looked at the sparkling sea surface, feeling bored. Bufang had been on the seabed for around 1 hour. They didn't know what he had found there, or if he had found the way. Or, had Bufang died in the fish's belly? They heard that the spirit beasts in the endless sea were really brutal. Rumble. The sea surface exploded. A giant shadow dashed out of the sea, soaring into the sky. Then, it plunged into the sea, stirring up earth-shaking waves. Bufang's hand was still wrapped in bandages. He sat on the giant shadow floating on the sea, looking at Yu and Hua, who were swinging their legs, then nodded. "Now we know where to go," Bufang looked at Yu, then said. The tiger-head shark was really upset. It just wanted to find something to eat, but it was beaten into a spirit beast that pulled the ship. Bufang calmly sat on the bow of the ship. One of his hands was wrapped in a bandage. The tiger-head shark swam in front of him, breaking the waves as it sped towards a certain direction. Of course, the tiger-head shark knew where the Black Dragon Palace was. It didn't expect that Master wanted to go to the Black Dragon Palace. The Black Dragon Palace was the oceanic species' forbidden land because it was the Black Dragon King's territory. Except for the Black Dragon King's subordinates, the other members of the oceanic species who entered the Black Dragon Palace would be mercilessly killed. Those people's goal was to go to the Black Dragon Palace. How strong were they? This tiger-head shark was really stupid. It dared to fight against such an expert. With the tiger-head shark leading the way, everything became much easier. Yu and Hua went back to their cabins to sleep, while Bufang sat on the deck, looking at the endless sea. The waves on the sea were magnificent, and the netherworld ship looked like a small dot, like a small boat, which made people feel small and insignificant. All of a sudden, a tiger-head shark that was moving forward suddenly stopped. Bufang was bewildered. Frowning, Bufang released his mental force to communicate with the tiger-head shark. It was a skill that Bufang had just learned. He used his mental force to communicate with the spirit beast. "You mean, in front of us is the territory of the Gold Shrimp Tribe? You don't dare to move forward anymore?" The tiger-head shark's answer surprised Bufang. The Gold Shrimp Tribe wasn't that the oceanic species where Aobai was? Were the Gold Shrimp Tribe and the Black Dragon Palace not on the same side? Then, why did the Black Dragon Palace send an emissary to find him? Bufang narrowed his eyes. He was a little bewildered. He had thought that the Gold Shrimp Tribe and the Black Dragon Palace were on the same side, but now it seemed strange. If they weren't on the same side, How did the Black Dragon King's emissary know that the shrimp ancestor was here? While Bufang was deep in thought, the seawater surged and bubbled. Then, a column of water slowly rose. The tiger head shark's body shivered, as though it was frightened. Bufang scanned around and found that the tiger head shark and the netherworld ship were surrounded. Columns of water floated around them. On those water columns, the oceanic species experts were holding weapons, aiming at Bufang and the tiger head shark, releasing their hostility. "Who are you? You dare to invade the gold shrimp tribe's territory?" The leading expert's body surged with spirit energy. He was in existence at the divine soul realm. He held a big pincer in his hand, which clanged unceasingly, releasing terrifying energy fluctuations. The gold shrimp tribe? Bufang furrowed his brows, contemplating. Xiaopi was the shrimp ancestor of the gold shrimp tribe. Should he take Xiaopi to the gold shrimp tribe or the Black Dragon Palace? It was a serious question. "I'm asking you a question. Are you mute?" All of a sudden, the expert holding the big pincer shouted, interrupting Bufang's thoughts. Bufang's eyes slightly lifted, indifferently looking at that expert. "I'm talking to you. Are you mute?" That expert glared at Bufang. His big pincer opened and closed, pounding on the sea surface, causing it to explode. At this moment, his power was unparalleled. The tiger head shark was so scared that it could only hide in the water and shiver. This expert's cultivation base was higher than his, so he could only admit defeat. After all, the opponent was a member of the gold shrimp tribe. Even if he could defeat him, he still had to admit defeat. Although the gold shrimp tribe had declined, a starving camel was still bigger than a horse. This great clan wasn't something a tiger head shark like him could deal with. "You talk too much. I wanted to go to the Black Dragon Palace first, but now, I'll go to the gold shrimp tribe to take a look." Bufang slowly rolled his bandage, speaking casually. That expert's eyes shrank. "Presumptuous. You think you can go to the gold shrimp tribe just because you want to?" That expert's face was filled with anger. Then, the water column exploded, and the expert waved his huge pincer, aiming at Bufang. He wanted to kill Bufang with one pincer. He had seen many people who wanted to take advantage of the gold shrimp tribe's decline to take a share of the pie. However, Bufang, who was sitting on the netherworld ship, was looking at the expert in front of him with an appreciative gaze. "It's indeed a plump crab." The corners of Bufang's mouth twitched as he said indifferently. Then, that expert's body shook and his eyes shrank. "A plump crab? Who was this human talking about? How did he know that his true form was a big crab?" Boom! The big pincer swung down, causing a rumbling sound. Then, the gold shrimp clan's expert's face revealed a frightened expression. The expressionless human in front of him had grabbed his big pincer with one hand. Chapter 929. Regarding crabs, Bufang had a deep understanding of them. When he was in the Light Wind Empire, Bufang had cooked a dish called pan-fried flower crab. However, that flower crab and this giant crab in front of him couldn't be compared at all. The difference between the two ingredients was really huge. Looking at the green-colored crab, which was as big as a human, waving its giant pincers, Bufang's face instantly became odd. Originally, this crab had a human body, but now it had transformed. Looking at this giant crab, Bufang gently exhaled. His hand suddenly exerted force, grabbing the giant pincer and throwing it out. The crab was bewildered. It found that the scene in front of it was constantly changing. Then, its giant body was flung out, smashing into the sea in the distance, creating huge wave. Bufang's feet stomped on the deck of the netherworld ship, and his body shot out like an arrow. His speed was extremely fast. Stepping on the waves, he dashed toward the giant crab that had fallen into the sea. In just a blink of an eye, the sea water exploded, and the giant crab fiercely waved its giant pincer, aiming at Bufang's head. "Damn human! Die!" This pincer was a powerful strike that the giant crab had gathered all of its energy. The void seemed to be slightly wailing under this strike. In the distance, the tiger-head shark felt the terror of this strike, and its body shivered a little. Worthy of being an expert of the gold shrimp tribe. Indeed, it was formidable. Although it was just a crab of the shrimp tribe, its fighting prowess was really terrifying. The tiger-head shark opened its mouth full of sharp teeth, spurting out a little water. In fact, at this moment it was a little excited. It actually hoped that the gold shrimp tribe's expert could smash that human into pieces. After all, it had been tortured by that human on the seabed. To it, that was an experience that it couldn't bear to recall. Its resentment toward that human was really thick. After all, it was also a creature of the oceanic species. At that time, as long as it submitted to the gold shrimp tribe, it could save its life. However, if it fell into that human's hands, who knew what would happen to it? Therefore, in his heart, he still hoped that this human would be killed. It would be best if the huge ship behind him was blasted into pieces. However, it was obvious that his plan was going to fail, because that crab warrior's attack did not cause any danger or trouble to that human. That human seemed to be a little too strong. The attack of the divine soul realm crab was actually easily blocked by a human. Boom! There was another explosion, and the surface of the sea exploded. Once again, the huge crab was caught by Bufang and smashed into the distance. The tiger-head shark was almost numb. Looking at the powerless crab, he felt more and more hopeless. The shadow that this human had cast on him was getting thicker and thicker. Encountering this human was a disaster for him. The surrounding gold shrimp tribe experts never expected that the crab commander wouldn't be this human's opponent. When a few crab experts saw that their leader was in danger, they waved their big pincers and rushed towards Bufang. Bufang quietly stood on the surface of the sea. The vermilion robe draped over his shoulders, slowly fluttering in the sea breeze. His eyes shifted as he looked at the crab experts rushing towards him. The corner of his lips curled up into a smirk. A moment later, his spirit sea suddenly surged with great waves. Bufang's mental force was released, turning into a ripple, spreading everywhere. In just a blink of an eye, it had covered the entire area. Boom! The seawater seemed to be pressed down by a huge force in an instant. The few crab warriors that were dashing over were pressed into the sea. Their eyes widened, filled with disbelief. The terrifying pressure that pervaded the air made them truly feel the strength of this human. They had never felt such a formidable aura. The seawater caved in, turning into a big bowl. And Bufang was standing at the bottom of that bowl. The waves around him rose, rumbling unceasingly. Bufang scanned the surroundings. Then, the tip of his foot gently touched the surface of the sea. Instantly, his body shot up into the sky like a dragon. Boom! In the seawater, the crab warriors were squeezed out. Their bodies seemed to twist. They turned into crab bodies, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They didn't know what to do. Coincidentally, my heaven and earth farmland needs some seafood. You guys. Bufang faintly muttered. When these words fell into the ears of the crab powerhouses, they felt a trace of strangeness and unease. What did this human mean? Buzz, all of a sudden a mysterious force expanded. Instantly they felt their vision blur, disappearing above the sea. The tiger-head shark was dumbstruck. It bewilderedly looked at the crab warriors, who seemed to be as strong as it, disappearing mysteriously. Did that human blast them into the air? The crab leader popped its head out of the sea. It was bewildered, looking at Bufang. Its body shivered. Bufang clasped his hands, indifferently looking at the crab leader. Now, can you take me to the gold shrimp tribe's location? The crab leader felt tears welling up in its heart. If it had known that this human was so strong, it wouldn't have been so stubborn. Many humans had come to the endless sea to explore, but it was the first time it had met such a savage human. Okay, the crab leader could only wave its claws, stammering. Swish! Bufang retrieved his mental force. Instantly, the sea resumed its tranquil state. The bowl-like shape disappeared, leaving only the swirling water. Bufang landed on the netherworld ship. Standing on the deck, he looked at the tiger head shark shivering in the sea. Yu and the others looked at Bufang. They didn't expect that Bufang's cultivation base had reached such a level. "You, tiger head shark, come to my heaven and earth farmland. I heard that if you cook the tiger head shark meat with a special method, it will taste good." Bufang rubbed his chin, speaking casually. Instantly, the tiger head shark shivered, its tail fluttering. Impatiently, he planned to flee into the distance. Damn it, the tiger head shark didn't want to be blown into thin air. Looking at the tiger head shark, which had fled far away in just a blink of an eye, Bufang exhaled gently. "Xiao Bai, bring it back." Buzz, inside the cabin, Xiao Bai, with lightning arcs sparkling on his body, slowly walked out. Receiving Bufang's order, Xiao Bai's eyes flashed with lightning arcs. A moment later, Xiao Bai started to run on the deck. Leaping one step, the metal wings on his back spread open. Lightning bolts thundered, and sizzling noises echoed unceasingly. Boom! The seawater was suddenly pushed to two sides by the pressure from Xiao Bai's body. Xiao Bai treaded on the water. Compared to Bufang's slow and elegant movements, Xiao Bai was like a wild beast. Every time he stepped on the water, the surface of the sea would explode. Boom! A moment later, the tiger head shark, which was about to dive deep into the sea, felt a shadow above its head. The tiger head shark was bewildered. Its eyeballs rolled upward. It saw a pair of palm leaf-shaped hands patting its body. The tiger head shark was enraged. It might be afraid of that human, but this iron puppet dared to provoke it? Let's see if this shark will swallow this lump of iron. Boom! A loud explosion echoed. The tiger head shark ferociously leaped. Its fish tail slapped the surface of the sea, and its body leaped up from the water. Sparkling and translucent water splashed everywhere, sparkling brilliantly. It was a leap filled with faith. Its operation was perfect, and it was full of ideas. However, reality had given the tiger head shark a head-on blow. Facing the leaping tiger head shark, the metal wings on Xiao Bai's back flapped, and his figure moved a certain distance. Then, his giant metal feet stomped down. He stepped hard on the tiger head shark's head. A loud explosion resounded. The tiger head shark's huge body was immediately stepped into the sea. Xiao Bai's eyes twinkled. Inside his stomach, the black hole expanded. A moment later, the war god's stick appeared in Xiao Bai's hand, sparkling with lightning arcs. Holding the war god's stick in one hand, Xiao Bai tilted his head and gently poked the tiger head shark that had just emerged from the sea. Zzzzz. The war god's stick emitted terrifying lightning power. Bufang, who was standing on the netherworld ship, felt a terrifying lightning strike. The crab leader in the seawater was startled. It jumped out of the seawater with a terrified expression. This was a puppet that could discharge electricity. What was the scariest thing for the experts of the sea race? It was a lightning strike. To them, it was like a nightmare. As long as the endless sea had a thunderstorm, the experts of the sea race would hide deep in the seabed, not even bothering to show their heads. It was because they were afraid that the lightning would strike them and kill them. Bufang blinked. Hua seemed to be curious, lying on the deck to watch the battle in the distance. Indeed, the tiger head shark was poked into the seabed. Shortly after, circles appeared in its eyes. Its white belly flipped as it rose from the sea. His body was still trembling slightly. Xiao Bai's poke had almost electrocuted it to death. Grabbing the tiger head shark's tail, Xiao Bai stepped on the water and returned. His metal wings folded as he landed behind Bufang. Xiaopi was still blowing bubbles above its head. After taking the tiger head shark into the farmland, Bufang was suddenly curious about the layout of the farmland. However, at this moment, he didn't have much time to manage it. Anyway, he wasn't too worried. No matter what, the farmland had Nyo Han-san. That fellow was much stronger than those oceanic species experts. Those fellows couldn't raise any waves in the farmland. The crab leader had seen how terrifying Bufang was. This time, he didn't hesitate, choosing to lead the way. Of course, another reason was because he saw the shrimp ancestor lying on Xiao Bai's head. Of course, the crab leader wasn't unfamiliar with the shrimp ancestor. He didn't expect that human to bring the shrimp ancestor to the gold shrimp tribe. With a strange face, he looked at Bufang and Xiaopi. Then, the crab leader led the way, diving deep into the seabed. Bufang was bewildered, looking at you. You crossed her arms, her mind flickering. Instantly, the netherworld ship parted the waves, starting to dive. Bufang was bewildered. It turned out that the netherworld ship could operate like this. So, why did he foolishly dive into the seabed alone? Of course, you was too lazy to answer him. The netherworld ship was a ship that could travel through the void of secret realms. How could it be difficult for it to travel in the sea? The crab leader swam fast in front, and the netherworld ship slowly followed behind it. There seemed to be a thin membrane around the netherworld ship, which prevented the seawater from invading. It was really convenient. Shortly after, as the crab leader went deeper, the scene underground gradually changed. In the eyes of Bufang and the others, a magical undersea city gradually appeared. Chapter 930. The netherworld ship followed behind the crab leader, breaking the waves and moving forward. The seabed also had different kinds of mountains. After crossing those mountains and the meandering rocks, they could see an exquisite undersea city. It was indeed a city. Although the buildings weren't really tall, they were gorgeous. Moreover, these undersea buildings were emitting radiance as if they were made of crystals. These crystal buildings had a leisurely style. Pavilions, terraces, and pavilions in the middle of the sea dazzled people's eyes. Rumble! Rumble! As soon as the crab leader landed, a group of oceanic species experts swam out of the city. The leader was an expert with an octopus head. This expert's eyes were round and so was his mouth. Some of his teeth were closed. His hand was holding an exquisite, sharp spear made of ore. Crab 3. Who's the one following you? You dare to bring outsiders to our gold shrimp tribe's territory? The expert with the octopus head let out a sharp cry. His voice seemed to be a kind of sound wave that lingered in the air, causing the seawater to tremble slightly. Crab 3 was the crab leader of the gold shrimp tribe. Actually, the gold shrimp tribe didn't only consist of gold shrimp. There were many other oceanic species experts, forming a big tribe. However, the gold shrimp tribe was still the leader of this big tribe. In the endless sea, the sea was boundless, and the sea tribe's creatures often fought for some resources. Thus, in the endless sea, many oceanic species creatures would choose to attach themselves to some strong tribes, becoming their protectors. For example, the strongest expert of the oceanic species, the Black Dragon King's Black Dragon tribe, had gathered many oceanic species in the endless sea, becoming the strongest force in the endless sea, which made many oceanic species creatures shiver in fear. Facing the mighty Black Dragon King, some oceanic species creatures who weren't willing to submit joined forces with other big tribes to resist the Black Dragon King. The Gold Shrimp tribe was one of those big tribes. Of course, after losing the shrimp ancestor who used to rule the endless sea, the Gold Shrimp tribe was just a relatively strong force in the endless sea. Facing the Black Dragon King, they couldn't even protect themselves. Brother Octopus. The people following me, Crab 3's face was a little grimaced. He was about to explain something. However, before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by the octopus with the octopus head. Brother Octopus and him were both guards of the Gold Shrimp tribe, but they belonged to different guards. Brother Octopus's octopus army and his crab squad had always been in a state of competition. But now, his team crab had been messed with by that human. Facing Brother Octopus, he was not confident. More importantly, he didn't want to cause any trouble. The main thing was that the netherworld ship was following the shrimp ancestor. Who had the guts to stop the shrimp ancestor from returning to the Gold Shrimp tribe? Of course, this matter had to be reported to the first prince as soon as possible. Don't say it. I know what you want to say. However, the duty of the Gold Shrimp Tribe's guards is to stop all the unknown creatures that want to get close to the Gold Shrimp Tribe. Crab 3, what you're doing is against the rules of the guards. Do you know that? Do you understand that you're going to be thrown into the frying pan? The 8 claws on Brother Octopus's face slowly fluttered. His tone suddenly became sharp. He swung the long spear in his hand, aiming at Crab 3. Crab 3's face instantly turned ashen. Don't mess around. I'm not in the mood to bicker with you. Oh, Crab 3. You're F***king scared? Brother Octopus, look down on you. That's why I can't let those unknown creatures behind you enter the Gold Shrimp Tribe. Brother Octopus rolled his eyes. The long spear in his hand swung, creating a wave. Let me check the identity of the creatures on the black ship behind you. Check. Crab 3 was bewildered. Then, his face darkened. This Brother Octopus didn't want to give him face. A stinky octopus that had turned into a spirit dared to show off in front of Crab 3. If it was a normal day, Crab 3 would definitely use his crab claws to fight with this stinky octopus for 300 rounds. But now, he didn't dare to. This anger, he had to swallow it back. All of a sudden, Crab 3's body stiffened, and his face became strange. That was because a faint voice came from the Netherworld ship behind him. You want to check us? Very good. Come here. His voice was calm. It was so calm that the oceanic species experts around were a little bewildered. A moment later, Brother Octopus's eyes narrowed. Did he think that Brother Octopus didn't dare to do that? Holding the long spear, Brother Octopus's body floated in the sea. Shortly, he came to Crab 3. Crab 3. You want to bring strange people into the Gold Shrimp Tribe? Brother Octopus won't let you pass. You purposely let the third prince leave the Gold Shrimp Tribe. You've angered His Highness. From now on, I will represent His Highness to punish you. Brother Octopus narrowed his eyes. Then, he raised his octopus head, gliding toward the Netherworld ship. The Netherworld ship was shrouded in pitch-black nether energy. Brother Octopus and the others couldn't see anything on the ship. Thus, they had to get closer to check. Rumble. Boom. All of a sudden, the nether energy on the black Netherworld ship slowly parted. Instantly, the scene on the deck entered Brother Octopus's eyes. Humans? Brother Octopus saw Bufong, who was standing with his hands clasped behind his back, and Nethery, who was standing gracefully on the deck. Flowery, who was swinging her slender legs, was sitting on the deck. 3 living humans. Brother Octopus's mouth twitched. He heard that humans didn't taste good. He didn't expect to see 3 humans hiding behind Crab 3. What was Crab 3's purpose? Anyway, if those humans were Crab 3's people, Brother Octopus could have a good meal. It had been a long time since he had tasted the delicacy of humans. Crab 3 looked at Brother Octopus, who was drooling. His face shivered, not knowing what to say. Bufong clasped his hands, looking at Brother Octopus. Their eyes met in the sea. Hello, human. Octopus Bro was the first to grin. Looking at the soft and tender skin, it was really delicious. Brother Octopus's heart itched. I heard that you want to check? Asked Bufong. Brother Octopus was bewildered. Then, he narrowed his eyes, wielding the lance in his hand. Slowly, a flow of formidable energy pressed down on Bufong's team. I suspect that you're related to the rebel army. Get off the ship now and accept my inspection, said Brother Octopus. Far from them, Crab 3 covered his face with one hand. He could imagine Brother Octopus's fate. Crab 3 knew how brutal those humans were. Until now, he was still scared. Not to mention the fact that there was a terrifying iron puppet that could emit lightning in the cabin. Once the lightning bolts burst out, Brother Octopus would become a scorched octopus. We're getting off the ship to check? I'm sorry. I don't want to get off the ship. Let me show you something good. Bufang clasped his hands, his vermilion robe fluttering as he said nonchalantly, "Something good? What is it?" Brother Octopus was bewildered. The corners of Bufang's mouth rose as he clapped his hands. "Xiao Bai, come out and do some exercise." Just as Bufang's voice faded, the sound of footsteps slowly rang out from the cabin of the netherworld ship. Rumble, rumble, the deck of the ship shook and the seawater trembled. Brother Octopus's eyes suddenly narrowed as he stared at the cabin. His body suddenly felt a terrifying pressure. What's going on? What's in that cabin? Sizzle, sizzle, Brother Octopus suddenly felt an electric arc in the seawater, which made him feel a little numb. Numb? Where did that King numb come from? Brother Octopus's eyes shrank. He took a deep breath, looking at the cabin. A round iron puppet slowly walked out. Lightning arcs were flickering in the puppet's eyes and around its body. Electric arcs, wait a minute. Electric arcs? Brother Octopus was bewildered. A moment later, he screamed. Xiao Bai's eyes twinkled. The metal wings on his back opened, and the black hole in his abdomen expanded. He took out the War God's stick, slapping it with one hand, shooting it toward Brother Octopus. Sizzle, 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 the electric arcs on the War God's stick stirred, making the seawater around it explode. Rumbling sounds resounded and caused a huge wave. Brother Octopus screeched, and the sound waves expanded. The oceanic species experts around were shaken by this sound wave, giving them a headache. However, at this moment, Brother Octopus had no other choice. As the War God's stick pounded on him, he instinctively used all of his power. The electric arcs on the stick terrified him. He raised his long spear, thrusting it with all of his power. A water dragon swirled behind him. However, cracking sounds rang out. Brother Octopus was bewildered as he watched his long spear shatter. The iron stick with the electric arcs pounded on his body. Sizzle, sizzle, electric arcs shot out, covering Brother Octopus's entire body in just a blink of an eye. Brother Octopus rolled his eyes, his body convulsing. Eventually, after a boom, he transformed into his true form. It was a giant 8-tentacled octopus. However, at this moment, the octopus rolled its eyes and floated towards the surface like a sponge. Even though they were at the bottom of the sea, people could vaguely smell the aroma of grilled octopus fish. Was Brother Octopus electrocuted to death? Crab 3 was dumbstruck. The War God's stick returned to Xiao Bai's hand. His fan-like palm grabbed the stick, and Xiao Bai placed it on his neck. His eyes with electric arcs raked through everything. Bufang rose his hand, beckoning Brother Octopus. Immediately, Brother Octopus's body floated over. Grabbing one of the octopus claws, a lightning arc entered Bufang's body through the octopus's body. Bufang's brows twitched. This lightning was really overbearing. It was worthy of being the lightning punishment. Blood energy surged in Bufang's body, dispersing the electric arc. His hand shook, and Brother Octopus's body disappeared. Such a big, fat octopus. We can't waste it. Bufang mumbled. The corners of Crab 3's mouth twitched. Indeed, Brother Octopus, who had been arrogant for less than 3 seconds, had followed his team's footsteps. No one knew what kind of nightmare was waiting for them. Anyway, did this human come to wipe out the oceanic species creatures? Rumble. Boom. While Crab 3 was bewildered, his mind flickered. He turned around and saw a group of oceanic species creatures walking out of the Crystal City, lining up on both sides of the city gate. The sound of the conch blowing the horn resounded, and the sound of the scallops flapping also filled the air. Many golden-haired experts were wandering around the city. Crab 3's face changed when he saw the leader. It's His Highness. His Highness came here personally? Chapter 931. A large group of oceanic species experts walked out of the Crystal City. The conches were playing and the scallops were humming. It was quite a solemn scene. Bufang curiously looked at this scene. He was really curious about this novel scene. The leader was a golden-haired middle-aged man with a mustache. He squinted his eyes, revealing a faint smile, which gave people a gentle feeling. The large group of people that came out of the Crystal City were the experts of the Gold Shrimp Tribe. The leader was the Gold Shrimp Tribe's crown prince. Crab 3 sucked in a breath of cold air. He had never thought that the crown prince would come out personally. Could it be that the crown prince had sensed the shrimp ancestor's aura? If that was the case, it was possible. The shrimp ancestor's identity was incomparably respected. He was the hope of the entire Gold Shrimp Tribe. If the shrimp ancestor appeared, then it was normal for the Gold Shrimp Tribe's crown prince to appear. The crown prince, Ao Xing, immediately saw the shrimp ancestor lying on Xiao Bai's head. The moment he saw the shrimp ancestor, his eyes lit up. The shrimp ancestor had actually returned. When Ao Bai told him this, he didn't believe it. He didn't expect that the shrimp ancestor would be brought back after such a short time. The smile on Ao Xing's face became wider as he walked towards Bufang's group. "Commander Crab, I've troubled you. Go back and have a good rest. Leave the rest to this crown prince," Ao Xing said with a smile. When Crab 3 saw Ao Xing's smiling face, his heart tightened. Then, he sighed and retreated far away. When he had let the third prince go, Ao Xing had a grudge against him. However, he couldn't do anything about it. The third prince had treated him well. He couldn't just watch the crown prince kill the third prince. Bufang looked at the golden-haired man in front of him. He looked like Ao Bai, but compared to Ao Bai, this man was more gloomy, and his mind was more meticulous. The golden-haired man was very elegant. When he arrived before Bufang and the others, he didn't mention anything about the shrimp ancestor. Instead, he welcomed them and led Bufang and the others into the Crystal Palace. You retrieved the Netherworld ship and followed behind Bufang, entering the Crystal City. As soon as they entered the city, the oceanic species experts on both sides of the street curiously looked at Bufang and the others. When they saw Shrimpy, who was lying on Whitey's head and spitting bubbles, all of them revealed shocked expressions. Then, they knelt down one after another. Some of the oceanic race powerhouses revealed looks of excitement and joy. The shrimp ancestor had returned. Was he going to bring them back to the peak? To our Gold Shrimp Tribe, the shrimp ancestor is a kind of faith. For you to bring the shrimp ancestor back, this prince is very grateful. Ao Xing looked at the situation around him, and the smile on his face grew wider. He said to Bufang, who was walking behind him, "When did I say that I would bring the shrimp ancestor back?" Bufang furrowed his brows, glanced at Ao Xing, and said calmly. The smile on Ao Xing's face froze. "You must be joking. Of course, the shrimp ancestor belongs to our Gold Shrimp Tribe. Didn't you bring the shrimp tribe here to return? Don't tell me you want to bring the shrimp ancestor back?" "Of course. I was just passing by the Gold Shrimp Tribe. I originally wanted to see Ao Bai." "Where is Ao Bai?" Bufang said calmly. Hearing Ao Bai's name, the faces of many Oceanic Clan's experts changed. The atmosphere in the Oceanic Clan suddenly became sharp. Everyone looked at Bufang with a strange and vigilant gaze. Yu, who was following behind Bufang, suddenly narrowed her eyes. In an instant, her eyes turned pitch black. Ao Xing looked at Bufang, glaring at him. His eyes were filled with fear. "Perhaps you don't know, but Ao Bai betrayed our Gold Shrimp Tribe. I have chased him out of the tribe. Now, Ao Bai has joined the Black Dragon King's force. He is an enemy of our Gold Shrimp Tribe," Ao Xing said. "Ao Bai betrayed the Gold Shrimp Tribe?" Bufang was bewildered. Ao Bai was the one who invited him to the Gold Shrimp Tribe. Now Ao Bai had been chased out? Why was that? Was it because of the fight for the throne? Were the princes fighting and killing each other for the ruling position of the Gold Shrimp Tribe? That was possible. Ao Bai had joined the Black Dragon King. That was why Bufang had received the Black Dragon King's invitation? So it was like that. Ao Bai has bad intentions. He wants to bring our gold shrimp tribe to eternal damnation. Of course, His Highness won't allow it. Although you are Aobai's friend, you have brought the shrimp ancestor. That means you are my friend. As long as you leave the shrimp ancestor here, our gold shrimp ancestor will naturally treat you as a guest. Aoshing said. His voice carried a hint of majesty. Bufang's brows slightly twitched, revealing a hint of surprise. What did Aoshing mean? Was he threatening him? In the distance, Crab 3, who was watching everything, heard Aoshing's words. His face changed. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. Aoshing wanted to keep the shrimp ancestor. From his posture, he didn't mind using a tyrannical method. However, would such a tyrannical method be effective against that human? Crab 3's heart was full of doubts. The gold shrimp tribe had changed. The crown prince was domineering. It was possible that he would bring the gold shrimp tribe to eternal damnation. If the third prince was the leader, the gold shrimp tribe would have a chance to rise again. What a pity third Prince Aobai was forced to leave by the crown prince. The gold shrimp tribe had lost a good leader. What if I don't keep Xiaopi? Bufang said casually. Xiaopi? Aoshing narrowed his eyes, a little bewildered. Oh, Xiaopi is the shrimp ancestor you mentioned. It's this little guy, Bufang said. Then, he grabbed Xiaobai, who was lying on Xiaopi's head, and placed him on his shoulder. Xiaopi! The corners of Aoshing's mouth twitched. The gold shrimp ancestor, who could move freely in the endless sea, was given such a name. It was a disgrace to the shrimp ancestor's prestige. The shrimp ancestor belongs to our gold shrimp tribe. You, human. Even if you don't want to keep him, you have to. Aoshing's face gradually became cold. As soon as he finished speaking, many figures stepped on the water from the Crystal Palace, landing by Aoshing's side. They were all old men, but from them, Bufang could feel a terrifying pressure. Worthy of being the gold shrimp tribe. There were so many holy saint-level experts. Most of these old men were holy saint-level existences, and their cultivation bases had reached the divine spirit realm, where they had ignited 1 or 2 divine flames. The appearance of these old men had, without a doubt, expressed Aoshing's attitude. This fellow had actually chosen to use peaceful means before resorting to force. If Bufang didn't hand over Xiaopi, did he want to take action and rob him? Looking at the tense atmosphere, Bufang gently exhaled. His indifferent eyes scanned the entire place, eventually landing on Aoshing. Compared to Aobai, Aoshing was a little stupid. At least, Aobai knew how to adapt to circumstances. Bufang hated threats the most, not to mention this kind of threat when he was tricked. First, he lured them into the city. Then, he used peaceful means before resorting to force, sending several holy saint-level experts. These experts were enough to obliterate Bufang. It was also the reason why they were so confident. The existence of these holy saint-level elders was the reason why the gold shrimp tribe could have a place in the endless sea. Crab 3 took a deep breath of seawater. His Highness had actually invited the gold shrimp tribe's elders. Indeed, it was because of the shrimp ancestor that these elders had taken action. Rumble! Rumble! Divine altars emerged above the heads of those old men. A moment later, the oceanic species experts' eyes sparkled as they dashed towards Bufang. Their target was the gold shrimp ancestor on Bufang's shoulder. Bufang rubbed Xiaopi's head, who was lying on his shoulder. Tilting his head, he slowly exhaled. The blast caused bubbles to appear in the seawater. Xiaobai, it's up to you now, Bufang said casually. As soon as Bufang's words fell, suddenly, the sound of lightning crackling resounded behind him. An elder of the shrimp tribe dashed towards Bufang with a thunderous momentum. However, in just a blink of an eye, he was hit by an iron rod and was sent flying, crashing into the wall of the crystal city. A crystal house was smashed into smithereens. After swallowing the lightning punishment, Xiao Bai's fighting capacity had increased a lot. It wasn't difficult for him to deal with ordinary saint sovereigns, let alone these holy saint-level experts who had only ignited 1 or 2 divine flames. The metal wings on Xiao Bai's back opened, and his figure dashed out like lightning. Many oceanic species experts were electrocuted, their bodies convulsing, and their bellies turned upside down. Boom! An elder of the shrimp tribe transformed into his true form. It was a giant gold shrimpy shrimp. Wielding his giant sickle, he slashed at Xiao Bai. However, even if he transformed into his true form, it was still useless. Xiao Bai's rod, which was filled with lightning, sent him flying, stirring up the sand on the seabed. Yu's long black hair fluttered. With one step, the netherworld ship emerged. Standing on the netherworld ship, Yu looked incomparably domineering. Ming Wei and Ming Chong burst out at the same time, severely injuring an elder of the shrimp tribe. Don't look down on Hua, who had transformed into the 7-colored sky-devouring python, which was enough to make many oceanic species experts tremble in fear. After all, it was an ancient divine beast, and its strength was extremely formidable. Ao Xing's face was somewhat ashen. He didn't think that these humans would be so hard to deal with. However, the shrimp ancestor must stay. Only by leaving the shrimp ancestor behind could he obtain the orthodox recognition and become the true leader of the gold shrimp tribe. However, shortly after, Ao Xing's eyes shrank, because he saw that the young man with an indifferent face suddenly had a kitchen knife in his hand. That kitchen knife glowed gold. With a shake, a dragon roar resounded in the void. As the saber slashed down, densely packed saber shadows rapidly converged. 1, 2, 3, a total of 13 knife shadows stacked together. They turned into an extremely terrifying knife. Boom! That knife shadow hovered above Ao Xing's head. Instantly, Ao Xing's legs went soft. He slumped on the ground, his eyes deathly gray. Rumble, a terrifying energy burst forth, and the gold shrimp tribe's crystal city was instantly cut into 2 halves from the middle. The knife shadows scattered. Bufang shouldered the dragon bone kitchen knife again. Indifferently, he looked at Ao Xing, who was lying on the ground, and the corners of his mouth rose. If you weren't the descendant of Xiaopi, this knife would have been enough to kill you. All of you would have been turned into braised mantis shrimp. Xiaopi is the shrimp ancestor. If he wanted to return, I wouldn't have stopped him. However, you guys chose to snatch him. You deserve to die. Chapter 932. It was true that Xiaopi was the shrimp ancestor, but today, Xiaopi didn't have the prestige that the shrimp ancestor had. Its intellect was like that of a 2-year-old child, and it wasn't enough to be the leader of a big tribe. If they really returned Xiaopi, Bufang was sure that the gold shrimp tribe's juniors would be like vampires, sucking Xiaopi's blood dry. Of course, with Xiaopi's current ability, if it wanted to leave, this group of fellows wouldn't be able to stop it. However, Bufang couldn't leave Xiaopi in the endless sea. This time, Bufang had come to discuss this issue with Ao Bai. This was the decision that Bufang had made after careful consideration. If Xiaopi recovered the shrimp ancestor's memory and prestige in the future, if Xiaopi wanted to leave, Bufang naturally wouldn't stop it. However, right now, Bufang had to ensure Xiaopi's safety. Carrying the dragon bone kitchen knife, Bufang indifferently looked at Ao Xing, who was lying on the ground. This fellow was so sinister. If Xiaopi fell into his hands, he would definitely be used. Compared to Ao Xing, Bufang still felt that Ao Bai was more reliable. As for Ao Xing saying that Ao Bai had betrayed the gold shrimp tribe, it was ridiculous. As long as Bufang still thought that Ao Bai was a member of the gold shrimp tribe, then he was a member of the gold shrimp tribe. Bufang looked at Ao Xing with disdain. The corners of his mouth rose, and the dragon bone kitchen knife turned into a golden light, dispersing. Bufang clasped his hands, turned around, and walked out of the city. Xiaopi was lying on Bufang's shoulder, spitting out bubbles. Xiao Bai carried the war god's stick, which was sparkling with lightning, and returned to Bufang's side. In the distance, the gold shrimp tribe's elders were lying on the ground, twitching. You tapped the ground with the tip of her foot, and her figure floated over. Hua turned into a little girl. She was chubby and cute. Of course, that was if she didn't stare at the gold shrimp tribe's expert in the distance. The group walked out of the messy crystal city. Ao Xing only had himself to blame for all of this. If he had not chosen to take Xiaopi by force, Bufang would not have bothered to make a move. The netherworld ship appeared once again, and with a rumble, everyone stepped onto the netherworld ship and rushed out of the seabed. In the crystal city, Ao Xing's face was gloomy. In the end, he punched the ground and gnashed his teeth. Anger flashed in his eyes. Damn it! Climbing up from the ground, Ao Xing exuded a gloomy aura as he walked toward the crystal palace that had been split into two. Ao Xing did not care about the destroyed city and palace at all. These things could be repaired with some time. The important thing was that the shrimp ancestor had run away. From Ao Bai, he learned that the shrimp ancestor had lost its intellect. At that time, when he received this news, his first thought was to control the shrimp ancestor. However, Ao Bai had rejected his idea. Thus, Ao Bai's rebellion was born. However, none of this could stop him. Ao Bai had left, and he had also set up a trap, waiting for the shrimp ancestor to enter. However, he had never thought that the humans who brought the shrimp ancestor would be so powerful. With this lineup, even if the Holy Land's Saint Sovereigns came, they might not be able to escape unscathed. However, how could that human be so relaxed? Who is that human? Ao Xing's face was filled with anger as he rushed back to the main hall. Inside the Crystal Palace, there was a huge statue of the shrimp ancestor, which looked exactly like Xiaopi. In front of the shrimp ancestor statue, a huge jade plate was floating. The jade plate was carved with many mysterious patterns, and a terrifying aura was moving around it. He rushed into the main hall. Ao Xing's eyes were filled with madness. The aura on his body burst forth as he dashed forward, grabbing the jade plate. You don't want the shrimp ancestor to return, right? Then, this highness will completely destroy the shrimp ancestor's hope of returning to the gold shrimp tribe. Ao Xing said crazily, and his face couldn't help but reveal a smile. Outside the main hall, the elders walked in as though they were convulsing. From time to time, electric arcs flashed on their bodies. When they saw Ao Xing's actions, they were all shocked, and they all shouted to stop him. However, it was too slow. Ao Xing didn't care about them at all. A sharp sawtooth sickle appeared in his hand, and he slashed it down. A series of clanging sounds rang out. The jade plate was instantly cut in half, and a terrifying energy rushed out. Buzz! The entire crystal palace seemed to be trembling. Your Highness! This time, you've really messed up a big matter. An elder felt as though all of his strength had been sucked out of his body. He sat on the ground, shaking his head with a face full of grief and indignation. Messed up? Then, let's make things worse. Ao Xing laughed. The jade plate crumbled, and a wisp of black qi immediately flew out from it. It turned into a pitch-black figure that circled around the hall. The resentment of the shrimp ancestor. Only by releasing you can we completely cut off the hope of the shrimp ancestor's return. Boom! A jet of black energy suddenly fell, instantly rushing into Ao Xing's body. Ao Xing's entire body emitted a pitch-black energy, and his eyes became scarlet. The energy on his body continued to soar. Feeling the surge of energy, Ao Xing's eyes instantly revealed a crazed look. Endless Sea, the netherworld ship, was slowly moving forward. Yu and Hua were sitting on the deck, looking at the clear blue sky and feeling the sea breeze, which made them feel a little relaxed. From time to time, fish would jump out of the water. Under the illumination of the sun, the scales of those fish would sparkle. Bufang stood in front of the ship, and Xiaopi was lying on his shoulder, blowing bubbles. Rumble! Bufang was thinking about his next trip. He didn't expect that the trip to the gold shrimp tribe would be so unpleasant. The oceanic species experts were even more unfriendly than he had imagined. Then, whether he should go to the Black Dragon King or not became a problem that Bufang needed to consider. However, after thinking about it, Bufang felt that since he was already here, it wouldn't be good to just go back. The entrance to the Heaven Chief realm was about to open, and Bufang didn't know when it would open. He had to deal with all the things that needed to be dealt with. Anyway, with his current cultivation base, even if he couldn't defeat the Black Dragon King, if he wanted to run, the Black Dragon King wouldn't be able to do anything to him. After all, with Yu and Xiao Bai, he could go to the Endless Sea. Thus, after thinking it through, Bufang felt his heart relax. Since he was in a good mood, he needed to cook a delicacy to celebrate. Bufang glanced at Hua and Yu. Then, his mind flickered, and his figure entered the heaven and earth farmland. As soon as he entered the farmland, Bufang landed on a grassland that was full of green grass. This grassland belonged to an area that had not been cultivated. Moving forward, Bufang soon saw the small wooden hut. Nyo Han-san was lying on the chair, snoring loudly. Many of the ingredients in the farmland had already matured. The cabbages were all ripe, and they had already been harvested. The exploding flame peppers were like lanterns hanging on the branches, blooming with resplendent radiance. At the place where the phoenix blood vermilion fruit was planted, a small sapling had already grown. That sapling's leaves were lush, and it was full of spirit energy. This made Bufang very curious about the fruit. The seedlings in the paddy field had already grown up, and soon they would bear rice ears. At that time, what Bufang needed to do was wait for the harvest season. "Oh, Owner Bu, why are you here?" As if sensing Bufang's aura, Nyo Hansen's ferocious bullhead immediately approached Bufang with a face full of smiles. "I'm here to get some ingredients." Bufang glanced at Nyo Han-san. Because Nyo Han-san had managed the farmland so orderly and full of vitality, Bufang was not as cold to Nyo Han-san. "Ingredients? What kind of ingredients does Owner Bu need?" Nyo Han-san asked as he scratched one of his horns that was broken off. "Where's the seafood that was thrown in not long ago?" "Seafood? You mean those messy oceanic species things?" "In the river," Nyo Han-san said. Bringing Bufang to the riverbank, Bufang didn't know if it was just an illusion, but he felt that the river had become much wider. The oceanic species crabs were crawling in the river, and Brother Octopus was lying in the river, stretching his body comfortably. The tiger head shark was still lying on its stomach, apparently still recovering from Xiao Bai's electric shock. Brother Octopus seemed to have sensed something, so he opened his eyes and looked at Bufang. His round mouth instantly let out a sharp whistle. In the next instant, the river water exploded, and an octopus tentacle pierced toward Bufang. Nyo Han-san was instantly enraged. Hadn't this animal been taught a lesson enough? It actually dared to attack Owner Bu. However, Bufang waved his hand, signaling Nyo Han-san to stop. Then, he raised his hand and grabbed the octopus tentacle. "I didn't think of using octopus tentacles as an ingredient, but now, it's just right," Bufang said casually. Brother Octopus rolled his eyes. Then, he saw a kitchen knife appear in Bufang's hand, gently slashing. Swoosh! The octopus tentacle was cut. Brother Octopus screamed, his body curling into a ball. "This damned human!" The corners of Bufang's mouth rose. Then, he waved his hand toward the river. Instantly, a crab with a blood lobster in its pincers was summoned by Bufang. He threw the blood lobster back into the river. Bufang nodded at Nyo Han-san, then picked up the crab, turning around to leave. "Owner Bu, take care. If you want ingredients, you can come again. The heaven and earth farmland will always be your home," Nyo Han-san shouted behind Bufang in a flattering manner. This fellow was becoming more and more fond of this relaxing and comfortable farmland. Living here was too comfortable. The illusionary void shook. Then, under the curious gazes of Hua and Yu, Bufang walked out of the illusionary void, holding a big crab and an octopus tentacle. As if he had sensed Hua and Yu's gazes, Bufang nodded at them, his face emotionless. "The weather is so good. Let's have steamed crabs with wine. And a stir-fried squid tentacle." Bufang looked at them, waving the ingredients in his hand. Hua and Yu blinked, then lifted their heads. Bufang was bewildered, also lifting his head. Originally, the sky of the endless sea was cloudless. However, at this moment, dark clouds were rolling, covering the entire sky. The sky darkened in just a blink of an eye. It was like the prelude of a storm. Bufang coughed, then continued, "The sea breeze is so cool. This kind of ingredient should be cooked into a delicacy to liven things up. This time, I'll cook steamed crabs with wine. They're absolutely delicious." Ignoring Bufang's embarrassment, Bufang announced the name of the dish. Hua and Yu's eyes brightened. The two foodies couldn't help but swallow their saliva. Chapter 933. Looking at the sky, it seemed like a storm was coming. Bufang wasn't sure how terrifying the storm on the endless sea was. However, at this moment, he wasn't afraid of the storm at all. Holding the crab in his hand, the corners of his mouth curled upwards. "The autumn air is refreshing. Let's steam some hairy crabs to eat together." Bufang sat cross-legged on the netherworld ship. Yu and Hua looked at him with strange faces. The storm was coming, but Owner Bu could still cook so calmly. Indeed, he was worthy of being Owner Bu. Taking out the black turtle constellation wok, his mind flickered, and the pitch-black wok floated in front of Bufang. Opening his mouth, a dark golden flame spurted out from his mouth, burning fiercely under the black turtle constellation wok. Rumble! In the sky, black clouds piled up unceasingly, as if there was a thick pressure that instantly shrouded everything. In the sky above the endless sea, the storm's power was much more terrifying than it was on the continent. At the same time, a great wave was set off on the vast ocean. The originally calm ocean began to rise and fall at this moment. Waves were constantly rising. You stood on the bow of the ship, looking into the distance. The surface of the sea was sparkling, blown by the storm, raising waves after waves. The waves slapped on the netherworld ship, causing it to shake unceasingly. It was true. The storm was coming. You took a deep breath, her pitch-black eyes a little deep. However, when she turned her head to look at Bufang, she realized that Bufang was still concentrating on cooking the crab. However, when you looked over, she realized that Bufang was in a daze. Owner Bu was in a daze? Actually, at this moment, Bufang's mind was having an intense conversation with the system. Steamed hairy crabs with wine. Actually, this wine would be better with beer. However, Bufang was in the Hidden Dragon continent. Where could he find beer? The only wines he had were the Ice Heart Jade Urn wine and the Frost Blaze Path Understanding brew. It was not that it was impossible to use these two wines to steam the hairy crabs, but it was better to use these wines to make drunken crabs. However, since the system was so stingy that it didn't even give a single bottle of beer, Bufang could only choose to steam it with the Ice Heart Jade Urn wine. First, Bufang fetched a large basin, used a rope to tie the crab's body, and placed the large crab into the basin. With a thought, 2 jars of Ice Heart Jade Urn wine appeared in his hands. 1 jar in his left hand and 1 in his right. When the lid of the wine jar was opened, a rich aroma wafted out. Under the blowing of the sea breeze, the fragrance spread for 10 miles. Gulp, 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 Bufang poured the Ice Heart Jade Urn wine into the large basin. After the wine had just covered the large crab, Bufang began to let the crab rest. Taking advantage of the time when the crab was drinking, Bufang prepared to process Brother Octopus's octopus tentacles. The dragon bone kitchen knife appeared in his hand. After twirling the knife, he cut the octopus tentacles into pieces. After the soft, fat, and tender octopus tentacles were cut, they were marinated with sauce. Bufang took out the exploding flame peppers that he had planted in the heaven and earth farmland. After cutting the exploding flame peppers into pieces, He prepared some scale-tail scallions and diced them, saving them for later use. The Black Turtle constellation wok was already heated, and the temperature inside the wok was extremely high. At this time, the endless sea was already raging with strong winds. The wind howled, blowing Bufang's hair and his vermilion robe, causing it to flutter. Cooking in the wind seemed to have a different flavor. The corners of Bufang's mouth rose. He poured oil into the Black Turtle constellation wok. When the oil sizzled, he poured the chopped purple garlic and pepper into it. White smoke floated up as Bufang began to stir-fry. As the exploding flame peppers were stir-fried, a wave of spicy aroma wafted out, attracting Hua and Yu's gazes. After stir-frying for a while, the ingredients in the wok bloomed brilliantly in the air. After stir-frying for a while, he poured the cut octopus tentacles into the wok. The octopus tentacles were cooked very quickly, so it was a test of Bufang's control of the fire. As soon as the octopus tentacles were placed into the wok, the aroma of the stir-fried octopus flesh was simply tempting. Hua and Yu had long been staring at the dish in the Black Turtle constellation wok. They were very expectant. Sizzle! Sizzle! Bufang held the spatula in one hand and the Black Turtle constellation wok in the other. He shook the wok, stirring the ingredients inside. Steam surged, and the aroma filled the air. When the octopus tentacles were cooked and slightly curled up, Bufang took it out of the wok. He poured the stir-fried octopus tentacles onto a blue and white porcelain plate. The exploding flame peppers looked as though they were about to burst into flames. They constantly bloomed with flame-like radiance, which was reflected in people's eyes. After sniffing for a while, the aroma billowed. The wind blew, blowing the aroma away. However, it couldn't blow away Yu and Hua's desire for this delicacy. Don't rush. Let's eat later. The main dish hasn't been served yet, Bufang said. He walked to the big pot, lifting the lid. The big crab inside was already spitting bubbles. Placing the steamer on the Black Turtle constellation wok, he fished the crab out, drained it of the wine, and placed it in the middle of the steamer. The wine that had soaked the crab was poured into the wok to steam the crab. Covering the steamer, Bufang urged the heaven and earth obsidian flame to burn even stronger. Boom! 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 The flames shot up into the sky, burning unceasingly under the Black Turtle constellation wok. The wine in the wok began to boil rapidly. As the wine evaporated, the aroma of the wine constantly lingered and spread. In the sky, the dark clouds became denser. It was like a drop of ink had been dropped into water. It was a ghastly sight. On the surface of the endless sea, because of the storm, the waves became more and more violent. The surface of the sea was undulating. However, Bufang was still so calm. He sat on the Netherworld ship, his mental energy winding around the Black Turtle constellation wok, sensing the changes of the crab inside. The flow of spirit energy and the change of the meat quality needed to be strictly controlled. Rumble! In the sky, thunder and lightning suddenly appeared. An ear-splitting explosion resounded through the horizon. The sea seemed to have gone crazy. It constantly rolled up, and the waves soared to the sky. A monstrous wave suddenly appeared in the distance. It was like a terrifying giant beast swallowing the Netherworld ship. This was the first wave. The wave was dozens of meters high, and it seemed as though it could swallow the heaven and earth. However, on the Netherworld ship, the people didn't care about the wave at all. They opened the steamer. Rolling steam surged up from within. The steam was so hot that it was incomparably dense. The aroma of wine and crab meat condensed, winding around people's nostrils. In the steamer, the crab had already turned red. It lay quietly on top of the steamer, emitting a fragrant aroma. When the crab was taken out from the steamer, Yu and Hua's eyes instantly lit up. The dragon bone kitchen knife appeared in his hand, cutting off the crab's legs, leaving only the round body. He opened the crab's shell. With a swish, juice flowed down, and rolling steam soared to the sky. Inside the crab shell, there was a yellow crab paste that was viscous. It was somewhat fragrant and somewhat beautiful. What a fat crab! Bufang looked at the crab with thick crab paste, and he couldn't help but sigh. With a flick of the dragon bone kitchen knife, he cut out the crab's intestines, lungs, stomach, and heart. Then, he used the knife to cut the crab's body into 3 portions. The 3 steaming hot portions were given to Yu and Hua respectively. After receiving 1/3 of the crab, their eyes squinted. It was a kind of joy that came from the bottom of their hearts. The crab paste was taken out by Bufang, and he placed it in a blue and white porcelain bowl. A jar of Frost Blaze Path Understanding brew was prepared, along with the porcelain cups. The clear wine was poured into the cups, 1 for each person. The storm continued. The waves shook the sky, unceasingly slapping down, causing the netherworld ship to shake violently. Sometimes the waves would rise and sometimes it would fall. It was really exciting. In the sky, the storm condensed, turning into heaven-shaking lightning. At the center of the vortex, there seemed to be a thunder dragon spiraling. There was a crashing sound. The thunder dragon instantly struck down from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. On the deck of the ship, Xiao Bai had appeared. His eyes twinkled, and the war god's stick was in his hand. Bufang looked at Xiao Bai in surprise. Then, the metal wings on the ladder's back opened. With a roar, he soared toward the lightning in the sky. Disregarding his own safety, he dashed toward the lightning. This was a great courage. Rumble! An electric light flashed. Xiao Bai was already close to the storm. In the endless sea, the oceanic species experts emerged. Because of the storm, the seabed was really oppressive. Many creatures had come out to take a breather, and they happened to see Xiao Bai flying up into the sky. He wielded the war god's stick, fiercely attacking the lightning. It seemed like he wanted to smash the lightning into pieces. However, as the thunder rumbled, the sky seemed to become a sea of lightning. Lightning arcs danced unceasingly. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, lightning dragons bombarded Whitey, wanting to blast it into pieces. However, Xiao Bai flapped his wings, and the black hole on his abdomen twisted. Facing the lightning, he raised his belly. The lightning arcs were swallowed by Xiao Bai's belly. That scene was really shocking. At least, the oceanic species creatures looked as if they had just seen a ghost. Someone was swallowing lightning in the sky of the endless sea. Who was he after all? Regarding Xiao Bai's hobby of swallowing lightning, Bufang didn't know what to say. Shaking his head, Bufang's eyes shifted to the steaming hairy crab in his hand. The sea breeze blew, and the weather was cool. Eating a hairy crab was just right. The hairy crab had been steamed with wine, and its original fishy smell had disappeared. The crab shell was rosy, and the crab meat was creamy white like milk. There was also a fragrance lingering around. Grabbing the hairy crab, Bufang opened his mouth and bit the crab meat. Crunching sounds echoed. The soft crab shell was bitten off by Bufang, and the crab meat and crab shell entered Bufang's mouth. As soon as the crab meat entered his mouth, the aroma of the steaming crab meat flooded through Bufang's nostrils. The crab meat's texture was extremely soft, and it had a little salty taste. However, this kind of taste was just right. The salty taste had a faint aroma. When the soft crab meat entered his mouth, it was incomparably smooth. Together with the crab shell, which wasn't really hard, it had a special flavor. Eating a mouthful of white crab meat and drinking a mouthful of warm wine, this storm passed very comfortably. Chapter 934. What was the main ingredient in eating a hairy crab? First, it should be the crab roe, which had a rich crab flavor. The crab roe was the essence of a crab. Then, it was the soft and tender crab meat in the crab's body, which gathered the essence of the crab. With one bite, the salty and tender texture burst out in an instant. It was like a feather gently scratching in one's mouth, making one involuntarily intoxicated. Hua and Yu ate happily. The delicious crab meat seemed to melt in one's mouth, making one's tongue seem to be tied up. Halfway through, Bufang picked up a blue and white porcelain spoon, gently scooping out a spoonful of crab roe from the porcelain bowl. This crab roe was slightly sticky, and there wasn't a lot of it. Because Bufang controlled the heat just right, the crab roe didn't completely solidify. Scooping up the orange-yellow crab roe, Bufang first poured it over Yu's half-eaten crab meat. The orange-yellow crab roe stained the milky crab meat, presenting a different kind of beauty and temptation, making one's fingers twitch. Hua blinked her triflower snake eyes, sniffing the crab roe in the air. Her face couldn't help but reveal an excited expression. She raised the crab meat in her hand, signaling Bufang to give her a spoonful. The second spoonful, Bufang naturally scooped the crab roe for Hua. The sticky crab roe with some congealed particles poured over the crab meat, making the corners of Hua's mouth involuntarily open, drooling. The plump crab meat, coupled with the fragrant crab roe, this combination had completely captured Hua's heart. After taking a bite, the orange-yellow crab roe overflowed from the corner of her mouth, bringing with it a rich fragrance, making one deeply intoxicated. Bufang also poured crab roe over it, eating a mouthful of crab meat. The soft and hot crab meat, together with the fragrant crab roe, completely stirred up one's taste bud. Soon, the three of them finished the crab meat. Hua licked her fingers with a dissatisfied look on her face. She didn't expect that crabs could be so delicious. Bufang wiped his hands clean and raised the cup of Frost Blaze Path Understanding Brew to Hua and Yu. Both of their eyes lit up as they raised their wine glasses. Outside the ship, there were raging waves and torrential rain. Inside the ship, however, it was leisurely eating crab meat and fine wine. Eating different delicacies in different environments gave off an indescribable feeling. Picking up the chopsticks, Bufang picked up a piece of octopus tentacles and put it in his mouth. The octopus meat was very tender and full of elasticity. Its taste was similar to the demon frog meat, but it was not as chewy. When stir-fried together with the exploding flame pepper, the fragrance of the exploding flame pepper blended with that of the octopus tentacles. It was especially delicious. Not long after, the octopus tentacles on the plate were also swept clean. Even a few pieces of exploding flame peppers were eaten. In the end, the three of them laid on the Netherworld ship, rubbing their bellies with a satisfied look on their faces. This was a wonderful dining experience. Hua's eyes seemed to curve into the shape of a crescent moon, full of happiness. All of a sudden, Bufang sat up on the ship, looking at the sky outside. In the sky, lightning was still as fierce as before. After Xiao Bai's black hole had absorbed lightning for a while, it couldn't hold on anymore, falling down from the sky. Rumble, Xiao Bai stood on the sea surface. The waves constantly rolled, and Xiao Bai's body bobbed up and down. His entire body was covered in electric arcs, and the aura on Xiao Bai's body became more powerful. Boom! A rumbling sound rang out. The waves exploded. Xiao Bai's figure seemed to turn into a jet of light, dashing toward the Netherworld ship. Shortly after, he landed on the Netherworld ship. "Are you full?" Bufang looked at Xiao Bai, the corners of his mouth twitching as he asked casually. Xiao Bai's mechanical eyes twinkled. Then, he raised his hand, rubbing his round head. Lightning was also crackling on his head. Then, Xiao Bai quietly stood behind Bufang. Xiao Opi's compound eyes rolled. His figure turned into a jet of gold light, intending to land on Xiao Bai's head. However, as soon as he landed, a wave of electric arcs burst out. Xiao Opi's entire body shook, as if he was convulsing. His numerous legs straightened, his face bewildered. Swoosh! Golden light shot out. Xiao Opi once again landed on Bufang's shoulder, lying on it. His entire body shivered, and he couldn't even spit out bubbles. Looking at this amusing scene, Hua couldn't help but chuckle. The storm continued, and the waves surged even more violently. There were even waves that were several hundred meters high. Those huge waves smashed toward the Netherworld ship, as if they wanted to smash the ship into pieces. Boom! A wave of surging water vapor rushed into the netherworld ship, and the ship seemed to spin in the air. Fortunately, there was an invisible barrier outside the netherworld ship, which prevented the seawater from entering. Once again, the netherworld ship landed on the surface of the sea, slowly moving forward. This storm lasted for an unknown period of time. Bufang felt that the netherworld ship had flipped several times in the air. However, this storm did not disappear. Bufang felt that it was strange, because according to the normal time, about a day had passed, but the storm was still howling. If he said that there was nothing strange, Bufang wouldn't believe it. Although the surrounding seawater was surging, the heads of the oceanic species, spirit beasts, and experts kept popping up. These oceanic species experts seemed to have gathered in the storm. This was even more strange. Under normal circumstances, the oceanic species creatures should be avoiding this storm. All of a sudden, the netherworld ship stopped, no longer moving forward. The surrounding waves surged, as if wrapping the netherworld ship within. In the sky, the thunderclouds turned into a vortex. There was a hole in the middle, and lightning constantly shot down from it. It seemed to echo each other. Countless oceanic species creatures widened their eyes, looking at this strange scene. Rumble! The seawater surged, and the bottom of the sea suddenly exploded. With a loud explosion, a huge figure rushed out from the bottom of the sea. This was a black dragon. It was different from the golden divine dragon in Bufang's mind. This black dragon only had one dragon horn, and the scales on its body were pitch black. It had 4 claws, and its eyes emitted a sharp radiance. This black dragon dashed out of the sea, twisting and turning in the sky. Its dragon roar echoed, making the oceanic species creatures around shiver uncontrollably. Bufang stood on the bow, squinting at the giant black dragon. If Bufang wasn't wrong, this meandering black dragon should be the Black Dragon King who had invited him to the Endless Sea. The strongest expert in the Endless Sea. Judging from the aura emanating from his body, he was worthy of the title of the strongest expert. Besides Lord Go and Hades' era, the Black Dragon King's aura wasn't weaker than the strongest Demon King. It turned out that the Hidden Dragon continent also had a strong creature who had cultivated to such a level. Hua stood by Bufang, raising his head to look at the domineering Black Dragon King. His eyes couldn't help but twinkle. Rumble! Far from them, Aobai popped his head up, looking at Bufang excitedly. Owner Bu had come to the Endless Sea, indeed. When he had received the news not long ago, he couldn't believe it. Now that he saw Bufang with his own eyes, his body trembled in excitement. Aobai treaded on the waves, coming to the netherworld ship. Looking at the shrimp ancestor lying on Bufang's shoulder, he couldn't help but squint. Owner Bu, are you here to send the shrimp ancestor back? Aobai looked at Bufang, asking. Bufang stood at the front of the ship, glancing at Aobai, who was treading on the water column. You think too much. I'm here to tell you that the shrimp ancestor isn't coming back. Aobai's face stiffened, looking a little embarrassed. However, he didn't ask much. After all, the shrimp ancestor was in Bufang's hands, and he couldn't do anything to Bufang. He just sighed. If he were still in the gold shrimp tribe, he would definitely try his best to bring the shrimp ancestor back. But now, he was living under someone else's roof, staying under the Black Dragon King. Sometimes he couldn't help it. What's going on with this storm? Bufang frowned, asking Aobai. This storm felt somewhat different, but Bufang couldn't tell what was different. Owner Bu isn't a creature of the Endless Sea, so it's normal that you don't know about it. It's because this kind of thing happens once in several thousand years, Aobai said. He stood on the water column, his blonde hair fluttering in the wind. This is the Endless Sea's Dragon Gate. It's about to open. This Dragon Gate is a miracle of the Endless Sea. Countless creatures of the oceanic tribes want to jump over the Dragon Gate. Even the strongest Black Dragon King is looking forward to it. Rumor has it that after crossing the Dragon Gate, one will have a chance to become a true dragon. Aobai said. Become a true dragon? Bufang's eyes shrank and he couldn't help but take a deep breath. A resonant dragon roar resounded. In the next instant, the Black Dragon King in the sky turned into a black-robed man. This man looked ferocious. His head was bald, and the muscles on his ferocious face were shaking. The man stood in the void. His eyes raked around, falling on the netherworld ship. When he saw Aobai, he squinted. In just a blink of an eye, the man disappeared from his spot. In the next moment, he reappeared beside Aobai. Aobai, is this the owner Boo that you've always talked about with I? The shrimp ancestor is in this human's hand? The bald man's voice was rough. As soon as he opened his mouth, it was filled with a murderous aura. However, when he talked, he was kind. Comparing the two, it was a little strange. Aobai nodded. Facing the Black Dragon King, Aobai was still a little afraid. As the #1 expert of the Endless Sea, the Black Dragon King's power and position were unquestionable. The Black Dragon King widened his eyes, which were as big as bronze bells. His gaze moved, sweeping over Bufang and the others. He first looked at Bufang. Bufang's expressionless face didn't attract the Black Dragon King's attention for a long time. Soon, the latter saw Xiaopi, who was lying on Bufang's shoulder. This is the shrimp ancestor. I didn't expect that the all-powerful shrimp ancestor, who could turn the clouds and rain with one hand, would become a little thing that had just gained spiritual intelligence. The price of breaking through the Dragon Gate is really terrifying. The bald Black Dragon King sighed. Looking at the shrimp ancestor, the Black Dragon King's gaze moved again. It fell on Yu and Hua. When the Black Dragon King first saw you, he exclaimed in admiration. His eyes showed that he was stunned. Such a beautiful woman was really rare. However, when the Black Dragon King's gaze landed on Flowery's body, he was completely stunned. 7-colored sky-devouring python? Oh my God! The Black Dragon King sucked in a breath of cold air, exclaiming in surprise. Hua's triflower snake eyes moved. She raised her small head, staring at the Black Dragon King. All of a sudden, the Black Dragon King's figure moved. As if he had teleported, he appeared in front of Hua. Yu and Bufang's body stiffened. This Black Dragon King. What did he want to do? However, a moment later, the Black Dragon King opened his mouth and said something that made Bufang and Yu speechless. Not only Bufang and Yu, but the oceanic species creatures around were also bewildered. Little girl, I am the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace. I see that you have a bright future. How about you recognize I as your father? Chapter 935. I'm the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace. Little girl, how about you recognize me as your father? The Black Dragon King excitedly appeared in front of Little Flower. His eyes were shining as he said that. His shiny bald head seemed to be shining at that moment. The surrounding people were bewildered. The corners of Aobai's mouth twitched. He raised one hand to cover half of his face. Black Dragon King, where's your integrity? The Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea, the leader of countless oceanic tribes. Why did he look like a strange uncle trying to abduct a little girl with candy? Bufang expressionlessly looked at the Black Dragon King. He was also speechless by the Black Dragon King's behavior. He had thought that the Black Dragon King would be a dignified expert full of murderous aura, but now it seemed that he was just a clown like Hades' era. Yu furrowed her brows. She stretched out her slender, white hand, pulling Hua behind her. Hua hugged Yu's thigh, sticking her little head out to watch curiously. Seeing this scene, the Black Dragon King suddenly felt that it was a pity. He raised his head and looked into Nethery's eyes. Netherworld woman. The Black Dragon King's mouth twitched. However, while he was talking, the Black Dragon King looked at Hua, who was hiding behind Yu. He winked at Hua, as if he was teasing Hua. Little Blossom was dumbfounded. He was probably an idiot. Come, my good daughter. Come to your father. The Black Dragon King looked at Hua, smiling as he reached out his hand, waving at her. Hua was an ancient beast, the seven-colored sky-devouring python. The Black Dragon King could see through her at first glance. If the seven-colored sky-devouring python grew to its peak, it would be a top-grade divine beast, not weaker than the divine dragon or the phoenix. If he could be the father of such an existence, he would be able to brag about it in the future. While this little girl was still young, he should quickly let her recognize him as her father. Aobai and the other oceanic tribes' experts' faces twitched. She hasn't even agreed yet, and you're already shamelessly acting like you're her father? The Black Dragon King had once again refreshed their worldview. You couldn't help but roll her eyes at the Black Dragon King's shamelessness. Hua tugged at Yu's skirt and rolled her eyes like you. Yo, little girl, come and call me daddy. The Dark Dragon King continued to bend over, his face full of smiles, looking exactly like a human trafficker. Hua can't speak. Bufang opened his mouth, his voice cold and indifferent. The Black Dragon King was taken aback, but the smile on his face remained the same. That's true. This girl has only grown to 2 colors. She's still a proper little brat, the Black Dragon King said with a smile. If the 7-colored sky-devouring python had 7 colors, it meant that it had completed its evolution, becoming a top-notch spirit beast that wasn't weaker than the divine dragon or the phoenix. Today, Hua only had 2 colors, and it was because she stayed with the Lord Go every day and was influenced by the Lord Go's energy. Otherwise, under normal circumstances, a young 7-colored sky-devouring python would need around 1,000 years to evolve to 1 color. After it became an adult, it would take even longer. The more it grew, the more time was needed. The Black Dragon King shook his head, continuing to wink at Hua. However, he didn't mention that he should ask Hua to call him daddy. In the sky, the dark clouds were still there, and the storm was still roaring and boiling. The storm rolled and the sea waves soared. The sea was like an enraged beast, constantly roaring and roaring. Bean-sized raindrops mixed with seawater rained down from the sky, splashing all over the ground and smashing into the surface of the sea, creating many craters. The sound of the rain, accompanied by the clamor of the waves, lingered in the ears. Thunder boomed, and the atmosphere became even heavier. Aobai stood by Bufang. He lifted his head, looking at the whirlpool in the sky. His face became more solemn. It seems the Dragon Gate is about to open. Dragon Gate? What's that? Out of curiosity, Bufang asked if the Dragon Gate was useful to the oceanic species. Could it be useful to humans as well? If it wasn't useful, Bufang would return home. After all, it was a waste of time to wait here for the Dragon Gate, which was useless to him. The Dragon Gate. It's the Dragon Gate. That's where the chance is. It's said that every time the Dragon Gate opens, it needs a great chance to enter. Once you enter the Dragon Gate, you will have the chance to become a true dragon. I heard that there's immortal energy in the Dragon Gate. Aobai said. Bufang was a little bewildered as he listened to him. A great chance to enter the Dragon Gate? There's immortal energy in there? Bufang wasn't a stranger to the so-called immortal energy. When he was in the Bronze Palace, Bufang had taken in a wisp of immortal energy. However, the system seemed to have absorbed it. That was how it had helped him complete his turnover and level up. Thus, when Aobai mentioned immortal energy, Bufang's eyes brightened. If he could get another wisp of immortal energy, would the system level up one more time? If so, it could save Bufang a lot of time. Thus, Bufang suddenly had high hopes for the Dragon Gate. The Black Dragon King stood aside, throwing Bufang a sidelong glance. The Dragon Gate is just a name for our oceanic species. In your continent there should be other names. It should be called the entrance to the Heaven Chief realm, right? The Black Dragon King rubbed his round head, which seemed to be reflecting light. Bufang was bewildered. You were also bewildered. Bufang looked at the Black Dragon King, his face emotionless. What did this fellow just say? The entrance to the Heaven Chief Realm? The Dragon Gate was the F***King entrance to the Heaven Chief Realm? That entrance was above the Endless Sea? Bufang didn't know what to say. However, after thinking about it for a while, he found it reasonable. It had been almost 3 years since he had left the Bronze Palace. The chef from the Heaven Chief Realm had said that the entrance to the Heaven Chief Realm would open after 3 years. This timing was quite accurate. However, Bufang was a little surprised. Did they have to make such a fresh and unpretentious entrance to the Heaven Chief Realm? Tsk. The last time the Dragon Gate opened, this Dragon King was just a little dragon. I was so excited when I saw my dad break the limit and enter the Dragon Gate. Today, this Dragon King also wants to try. I want to break the Dragon Gate's barrier just like my dad did. I want to obtain the chance to become a true dragon. The Black Dragon King patted his bald head and said, "Looking at the situation, this storm will be brewing for a few more days. When the storm disperses, it will be the time for the Dragon Gate to appear." The Black Dragon King said. Bufang couldn't help but narrow his eyes. There were still a few more days. Valley of Gluttony. Inside the kitchen of the Gluttony Gods building, the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony was lazily sitting on a chair with his legs crossed. The tuft of white hair on his head was slowly fluttering in the wind. He looked at Xiaoya, who was diligently cooking in the distance. Stroking the white hair on his head, he smiled and said, "Little girl, if you want to become a chef like your big brother Bufang, you have to practice your cooking skills and build a good foundation." Xiaoya's eyes were firm. Holding the kitchen knife, she skillfully cut the ingredient. Ever since she had seen Big Brother Bufang's cooking skills, Xiaoya only had one thought in her mind. That was to become a chef like Big Brother Bufang. To be able to cook delicacies that could make people happy. That was her life's goal. As the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony, the old man's cooking skills were very strong. He said that his cooking skills weren't weaker than Big Brother Bufang's. That was why Xiaoya decided to learn cooking from him. The old man squinted his eyes, grabbing a spirit fruit and biting it. With a bite, a crunching sound rang out, and the juice in the spirit fruit splashed. The sweet and sour spirit fruit made the old man's face reveal a look of enjoyment. Suddenly, the old man seemed to feel something. His whole body was stunned, and the spirit fruit in his hand fell to the ground. With a thud it rolled. Xiaoya stopped cooking and looked at the old man with a puzzled expression. "Little girl, I might not be able to teach you cooking anymore. The heavy responsibility of surpassing Bufang will be handed to you to learn by yourself." The old man sighed as he looked at Xiaoya, who had grown into a pretty girl after 3 years. Xiaoya was stunned. What did the old man mean? "I'm going to pursue the opportunity that I've been waiting for thousands of years." The old man's face was solemn. He raised his head 45 degrees, his eyes incomparably deep. Xiaoya was speechless. In the next moment, Xiaoya's eyes shrank. She saw the old man stand up, turning around and dashing away. There was a transparent wall of the Gluttony Gods building, which was made of crystal stones, and one could see the scenery outside. This wall was very sturdy. However, the old man still dashed forward, and with a clang, he created a big hole in the transparent wall. His body turned into a jet of light, shooting up into the sky. In a blink, he disappeared from the sky. In the Taotai restaurant Lord Go yawned, and he couldn't help but lift his dog head. His eyelids were slightly drooping, and his face looked as if he hadn't woken up yet. 3 years have passed so quickly. Has the entrance to the Heaven Chief Realm opened? Looks like it's time for me, Lord Go, to go to the Heaven Chief Realm again. I wonder if those fellows will still welcome Lord Go. Several hundred miles away from the hidden Dragon Royal Court, on a pitch-black mountain, that mountain's aura became even more condensed, and black clouds constantly twirled in the sky. In the middle of the mountain, the strongest demon king, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly opened his eyes. Lightning seemed to shoot out of his eyes, tearing the void in front of him. The mountain shook, as though it was about to collapse from the strongest demon king's aura. Boom! Rumble! The strongest demon king stood up, twisting his neck to loosen his muscles. Instantly, the entire mountain shook. Boom! In the next instant, an explosion rang out. The strongest demon king's figure dashed out of the mountain, turning into a jet of black energy. He stood proudly in the sky, and terrifying nether energy twirled around his body. Opening his mouth, the strongest demon king spurted out pitch-black energy. 3 years have passed. The opportunity that belongs to this lord has opened. This time, this lord will not let that damn human snatch the opportunity that belongs to this lord. Stop this lord. Kill. Chapter 936. In the boundless sea, a pitch-black warship was slowly moving forward. The surrounding seawater was split apart by the warship, splashing everywhere. In front of the warship, 6 Demon King-level experts stood, clasping their hands behind their back. Looking at the thick black clouds in the sky, their faces became incomparably solemn. Is this the storm of the endless sea? It's really a little terrifying. It's so oppressive that it's hard to breathe. A Demon King said solemnly. As Demon King experts, their strength had reached the 8-mark heavenly ethereal realm. They could be said to be omnipotent. To them, normal storms were simply harmless. However, this time, the storm made them feel extremely oppressed. Look, there seems to be living beings in the distance. The Demon Eagle's Demon King spread his wings, his figure flying high in the sky. Looking into the distance, he seemed to see the huge black waves in the distance, as well as the marine species creatures emerging from the sea. What was happening? Why were there so many marine species creatures emerging from the surface of the sea? The Demon Kings were a little puzzled. In the vault of the sky, thunder rumbled. That rumbling sound was ear-splitting, but it made the Demon Kings reveal a cold smile. After sailing for so long in this boundless endless sea, this time, they finally met living beings. Since that was the case, they had to ask for directions. Boom! The Demon Eagle's Demon King's wings suddenly spread open. In the next instant, his figure shot out into the distance. Everyone, wait for my good news. The Demon Eagle's Demon King's voice came from afar. There were still a few days before the opening of the Dragon Gate. Below the storm, there were more and more marine species experts. All of them popped their heads out, their faces filled with excitement as they looked at the storm in the sky. Bufang sat cross-legged on the netherworld ship, bored to death. Hua hugged Yu's thigh, sitting at the side, drooling as he slept soundly. The Black Dragon King licked his face, supporting the water column as he waited not far from the netherworld ship. From time to time, he would look at the sleeping Hua, a trace of affection appearing in his eyes. Wait, what the hell was affection? Did the Black Dragon King really put himself in the shoes of Little Flower's father? Bufang glanced at the Black Dragon King, the corner of his mouth twitching. The Black Dragon King seemed to feel Bufang's gaze on him, instantly turning his head to look at Bufang, revealing a cold smile. Bufang rolled his eyes. His mind flickered, sinking into the heaven and earth farmland. If he was bored, he might as well go and plant in the farmland. On the grassland, 80, who had become a little fat from eating, was running around at an extremely fast speed, clucking continuously. The three-eyed wild lion followed 88, its mane slowly fluttering. When Bufang came to the heaven and earth farmland, he received Nyo Hansen's enthusiastic response. Then, he continued to open up other areas of the farmland. The tiger-head shark had woken up. At this moment, it was hiding in a corner of the river, its face frightened. Nyo Hansen smiled and said, "That fellow woke up and made a fuss. It even said that it wanted to eat me, Nyo Hansen. With my hot temper, of course, I couldn't stand it. Thus Nyo Hansan beat it up. No, twice. Nyo Hansen's cultivation base was much higher than the tiger head shark's, so it was reasonable for the tiger head shark to be beaten up. Bufang walked to the riverbank, and the tiger head shark became even more frightened. Crouched down the riverbank, almost climbing up. Swish! In the river, Brother Octopus roared, throwing another octopus tentacle at Bufang. Brother Octopus hated Bufang to the extreme. The dragon bone kitchen knife in Bufang's hand spun, cutting off the octopus tentacle. With a thud, the octopus tentacle fell to the ground, twitching unceasingly. Putting the octopus tentacle into the system-dimensional bag, Bufang clasped his hands, indifferently looking at Brother Octopus. Then, he turned around and walked away. Brother Octopus' chest tightened. Did that fellow appear just to take away one of his octopus tentacles? What kind of grudge did he have? After strolling around the vegetable garden and feeling the spirit energy emanating from the vegetables, Bufang nodded in satisfaction. The heaven and earth farmland was full of vitality. Bufang was very satisfied. Every time he came here, he could feel the spirit energy in the air getting thicker and thicker. Because he had planted more and more spirit herbs, the vegetables also had spirit energy. Thus, the spirit energy in the air was getting thicker and thicker. For others, it would become a holy land of cultivation. However, Bufang did not rely on cultivation to increase his cultivation, so it was useless. Bufang's requirements were not high. As long as they could grow good fruits and vegetables, it would be fine. Returning to the Netherworld ship, the Black Dragon King seemed a little surprised that Bufang had just disappeared. Of course, Bufang was too lazy to explain anything. He just nodded at the ladder. Then, in front of the ladder's dumbfounded eyes, he took out a fat octopus tentacle. Not only the octopus tentacle, but Bufang also took out the demon frog meat he had collected from the system-dimensional bag. This demon frog meat was an ingredient of Demon King level expert. Compared to Brother Octopus' octopus tentacle, it was much better. Bufang thought that since there was still some time before the dragon gate opened, he might as well have a good meal. Anyway, waiting was one thing, but he couldn't starve himself. Black turtle constellation wok, oil, seasoning, scale-tail scallion, purple garlic, fine wine, fragrant vinegar. When Bufang took out the seasoning from the system-dimensional bag, he looked at Bufang's face. The eyes of the surrounding people became even more strange, and they were speechless. When other people came to the Endless Sea, they would act as if they were facing a great enemy, and they would be extremely vigilant. But Bufang, he came to the Endless Sea just to eat, right? If these oceanic species creatures knew that ever since Bufang entered the Endless Sea, he had been eating delicacies unceasingly, they would be even more speechless. After setting up the grill, Bufang opened his mouth and spat out a dark gold heaven and earth obsidian flame. The heaven and earth obsidian flame fell into the wok, and instantly, it burned fiercely, releasing an extreme temperature. The iron mesh on the grill was slightly red. The temperature above was so high that even the air became distorted. Cutting the octopus tentacle into several pieces, each of which was quite plump. After Bufang cleaned the octopus tentacle, he put it into the seasoning plate and marinated it for a while. The Black Dragon King and many other oceanic species creatures looked at Bufang with a dazed face. They had never seen such a dazzling cooking method before. In the Dragon Palace of the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea, there was no such thing as cooking. What they ate were all raw ingredient. Could this kind of cooked ingredient be eaten? Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. When Bufang put a piece of marinated octopus tentacle on the grill, instantly, a sizzling sound burst out, startling the oceanic species experts around. Damn, there's actually a sound. And why is it so fragrant? It was a kind of fragrance emitted after the fat was cooked. With the Netherworld ship as the center, this fragrance spread out, attracting the surrounding marine species creatures. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. After smearing the golden oil, the octopus tentacle curled up, and the juice dripped on the heaven and earth obsidian flame. Instantly, it evaporated, releasing a fragrant smell. The Black Dragon King stared at the grill, his heart filled with surprise. "Little brother Bufang, what are you doing?" the Black Dragon King asked curiously. As someone who had tasted Owner Bu's cooking, Aobai naturally knew that Bufang was good at cooking. Aobai was also familiar with the Black Dragon King. He knew that the moment the Black Dragon King opened his mouth, he knew that this shameless Black Dragon King was going to cheat others for food again. He flipped the octopus tentacle on the grill. Steam rose, but the moment it rose out of the netherworld ship, it was smashed by the storm. Hua was awakened by the fragrance. Her eyes brightened. Hugging her knees, she squatted not far from Bufang, staring at the fat octopus tentacle on the grill. Bufang glanced at Hua, the corners of his mouth rising. Then, he flicked his hand, and that piece of octopus tentacle meat flew out. Golden liquid swirled on it, filling the air with a fragrant aroma. He sprinkled some seasoning on it. It was even more tempting to taste buds. "The first piece is for you, little girl," Bufang said casually. To this, Hua revealed a happy smile. She stood up, reaching out to grab the scalding grilled squid tentacle meat. Because it was too hot, Xiao Hua blew on it and bit down on it happily. The meat juice seeped out of the corner of her mouth. The golden juice dripped down, creating a taste that lingered in people's mouths. Bufang's barbecue would definitely make people completely immersed in it. He placed the demon frog meat and the remaining octopus tentacle meat on the grill, starting to grill. The sizzling sounds came with the fragrance. After eating one piece of meat, Hua wanted to eat a second piece. He was looking forward to Bufang's barbecue. "You ate a piece of demon frog meat. No matter what, it was a demon king level ingredient. Eating it would make people unable to stop." The Black Dragon King's stomach was rumbling with hunger. His saliva constantly dripped down. Too fragrant. Simply too fragrant. The aroma that filled the air made the Black Dragon King's stomach wriggle. That aroma seemed to be able to steal people's souls. "Bufang, little friend, can you give this Dragon King a piece of meat? It looks very special," the Black Dragon King said. Looking at Little Flower holding a piece of demon frog meat and eating with his mouth full of oil, his heart felt like it was being scratched by 10,000 claws. Sizzle, after flipping the last piece of demon frog meat, Bufang stopped barbecuing. Picking up his chopsticks, he picked up a piece of piping hot demon frog meat and stuffed it into his mouth. Then, he turned to look at the Black Dragon King. Bufang chewed and said, "Do you want to eat it? I don't have enough ingredients. Bring me some ingredients. I'll grill it for you." Any ingredients are fine. Seafood or birds. Right, do you have oysters? That thing tastes even better when grilled. The Black Dragon King was excited. It turned out that he wanted ingredients. That was easy. As the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace, he didn't have any ingredients. Oysters? No matter how big the oysters were, he could find them. Thus, the Black Dragon King hurriedly summoned a subordinate and asked him to find the ingredients that Bufang mentioned. In the sky, the demon eagle's demon king's figure flew over rapidly. His wings spread out in the sky, as if to cover the sky and cover the sun. When the demon eagle's demon king flew over, he immediately saw the netherworld ship. His face froze, and then a wave of uneasiness spread in his heart. Netherworld ship? Why would the King netherworld ship be here? Shouldn't it be in the Valley of Gluttony? The demon eagle's demon king's eagle eyes shrank. He saw the steam rising from the deck of the netherworld ship, as well as the fragrance and familiar smell that spread out from the steam. This smell. Oh my God! It's the demon frog's demon king. The once all-powerful demon frog's demon king. In the end, he still became an ingredient. The demon eagle's demon king felt a burst of sorrow in his heart. Suddenly, the demon eagle's demon king noticed that the chef on the deck seemed to raise his head to look at him. Then, he said something to the baldy in front of him. That baldy raised his head, his eyes shining as if he had seen some treasure. A wave of uneasiness shrouded the demon eagle's demon king's heart. "Old Black, do you see that pair of wings in the sky? If you can get that pair of wings, I'll let you taste the deliciousness of grilled wings." Bufang glanced at the demon eagle's demon king, then the corners of his mouth twitched as he said to the Black Dragon King. Chapter 937. However, very quickly, Bufang happily received the demon eagle wings. He had a new demon king grade ingredient. The demon eagle demon king was a little flustered. How could this guy be so fast? However, under the Black Dragon King's sharp gaze, he didn't say a word, turning around and running away. "Your whole family is the real delicacy." Under this claw, the many streaks of black energy were all shattered. "My life already has nothing to think about." After obtaining the 2 demon eagle wings, the Black Dragon King released the demon eagle demon king in satisfaction, turning into his bald form. Grabbing one of the wings with each hand, he giggled foolishly in the void. The demon eagle covered the sky. That huge wing spread out, as though it was covering the vault of heaven. The demon eagle demon king was so angry that he went crazy. "Daughter, your father is awesome, right? You damned bastard! The Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea? Just you wait. After transforming into a human, he could walk in the void." There, a figure was flapping his wings, floating in the void. What kind of inhumane treatment did he have to endure? As experts of the ruined prison, who rarely entered the endless sea, they were seasick. Many demon kings looked at each other, not knowing if they should say it or not. The strongest demon king walked out of the crack, his eyes sweeping across the crowd. His lips curled, slowly smiling. Hua's triflower snake eyes turned, looking at him with an expressionless face. A demon king said with a smile. The demon king's face was pale, his mouth coughing out blood. Blood was constantly flowing out of his back. "Oh my God!" The demon eagle demon king realized that as long as they were related to that little chef, their cultivation seemed to be terrifyingly strong. The demon eagle demon king let out a long cry, his eagle cry loud and clear. Then, his figure constantly expanded, turning into a huge demon eagle. The storm was sweeping, constantly attacking the gale. That figure was still standing in the storm. However, the Black Dragon King wasn't satisfied. His dragon mouth bit down, biting on one of the shoulders. Today, a pair of delicious roasted wings was about to be placed in front of him. How could he miss it? The demon eagle demon king felt that he had really suffered an undeserved disaster. Rumble! The demon eagle demon king was instantly shocked, feeling a little incredulous. Many experts from the ruined prison who had followed along were lying on the side of the ship, vomiting continuously. "Little bastard, you sure run fast." The bald man stared at him excitedly as if he was looking at a delicious delicacy. His figure floated down. That chef's background was too powerful. The clouds in the sky were thick and black. "You're the King Grilled Wings." Devil Eagle's Devil Master was enraged and roared. "Delicious? Could there have been an accident? Anyway, this endless sea doesn't look ordinary at first glance." The demon eagle demon master was so frightened that he peed his pants. Demon eagle's demon master's wings are gone? He was just saying it casually. The demon eagle's demon king really did not think that the netherworld ship would actually appear here. That chef from the Valley of Gluttony had also appeared on the endless sea. Except, no matter how he swung, the Black Dragon King seemed to be glued to his back and simply could not be shaken off. How could the big eagle be the Black Dragon King's opponent? After being entangled, one of its wings was instantly torn off. Flapping his wings, the demon eagle demon king began to display his difficult flying skills. His figure circled in the air, trying to shake off the Black Dragon King on his back. The Black Dragon King only wanted the wings, so he did not care about the Demon Eagle Demon King. "Get down for this, Lord." Just as the many Demon Kings were hesitating, raising their heads, they suddenly found that a spatial crack had been torn open above the warship. The Demon Kings also felt a little stifled. The Black Dragon King muttered. He silently mourned for the Demon Eagle Demon King for a few minutes. However, there seemed to be true energy revolving around the Black Dragon King's body, knocking away all the feathers that the Demon Eagle Demon King had blasted down. Both sides of his wings were torn off, and jet-black blood sprayed in the sky. The Black Dragon King's figure was like a cannonball, shooting up into the sky. That bald head was like a light bulb, shining brightly. Looking at the incomparably powerful aura of the strongest Demon King, boom! The corners of the Black Dragon King's mouth were drooling. He was really tempted by Bufang's dishes, and his appetite was greatly increased. The Black Dragon King's eyes lit up, and his smooth, mirror-like bald head instantly flashed with a luster. He raised his head, looking at the sky. Blood splattered across the sky. The Demon Eagle Demon King's flesh was in so much pain that his entire body was twitching. "Grilled wings! Don't go!" A pair of eyes filled with resentment stared at the Black Dragon King. The Demon Eagle Demon King's eyes were lifeless, and he started to cry bitterly. His aura was weak, and his face was filled with despair. His eyes were dead, as if he had lost the entire world. Rumble! A claw reached out, as if it wanted to scratch and shatter the illusionary void. The Demon Eagle Demon King wanted to force the Black Dragon King to retreat. "Are you King kidding me?" Their hearts instantly trembled. "That damned bald-headed old man. TSK. You big bird, how about this Dragon King lend you a pair of wings?" When the Black Dragon King saw this scene, his eyes instantly widened. He didn't King do anything. He just came over to make a splash. The Demon Eagle Demon King's heart tightened. Then, he planned to flap his wings and turn around to leave. Right now, these ruined prison Demon Kings really had to guard against fire, theft, and chefs, accompanied by the Demon Eagle Demon King's miserable howl. The sky full of feathers fluttered down. The Demon Eagle Demon King was enraged to the extreme. However, when he was enraged, his heart was also a little flustered. All of a sudden, a Demon King with sharp eyes saw the Demon Eagle Demon King, who was swaying in the sky as he floated back. A Demon King sucked in a breath of cold air. Why is the Demon Eagle Demon King gone for so long? A Demon King furrowed his brows, a little puzzled. However, facing this true energy, the Black Dragon King smiled disdainfully. With a bang, the Demon Eagle Demon King fell on the warship, his entire body twitching. What did he do? The Demon Eagle Demon King was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. The saliva in his mouth swayed in the wind. However, just as he was about to fly back, above the sea surface, a deafening dragon roar suddenly resounded. Why was the other party like a ghost haunting him? Inexplicably, this bald man came up and tore off his wings. Once, there was a sincere roasted frog meat in front of him, but he missed it. Today's roasted wings. He naturally had to fight for it, so that the regret would not repeat itself. However, although the Demon Eagle Demon King had lost his wings, his cultivation did not disappear. Puff! However, soon, the smile on his face froze. The Demon Eagle Demon King. Why was he so miserable? The strong wind howled unceasingly, rolling up the waves of the endless sea. It actually broke his attack with a single claw. A burly figure slowly walked out from within, and a terrifying aura instantly filled the air. Don't think too much. With the Demon Eagle's cultivation, who in the hidden dragon continent can do anything to him? On the endless sea, many oceanic species experts couldn't help but raise their heads, watching the battle in the void. The Demon Frog Demon King had turned into an ingredient, being cooked by this chef. That was the pain in the hearts of all the demon kings. However, facing all of this, the demon eagle demon king was also powerless. Of course, continue forward. The opportunity that this lord has waited for 10,000 years has finally appeared. His figure turned and his wings flapped. The feathers on his wings instantly shot out, looking like sharp blades. The demon eagle demon king roared. Oh, or rather, it was a crushing battle. He recounted what had happened just now in bits and pieces, causing many of the demon masters to be dumbfounded. Above his body, black nether energy twirled. Soon, it turned into streaks of light, shooting toward the Black Dragon King. He wanted to kill the Black Dragon King completely. What should we do now? Should we still continue forward? His wings were already torn off. Was he going to be reasonable? What did this bald man want to do? Otherwise, how could the demon eye and the demon frog be crippled and killed? Scram! The Black Dragon King's claws grabbed the demon eagle's wings, sinking deep into his flesh, causing the demon eagle to feel a wave of pain. The warship stopped on the vast sea, and several demon kings stood on the deck. As the waves surged, the warship constantly bobbed up and down. Roasted wings? They could finally go and get back their face, showing the dignity that belonged to the ruined prison's demon kings. What exactly happened? The demon eagle demon king's wings. Why did they disappear? Was it snatched away by someone? The Black Dragon King raised his hand and touched his bald head, grinning foolishly. He looked at Hua, raising his eyebrows proudly. With a flap of his wings, a few feathers fell. His figure seemed to turn into a straight black line, speeding into the distance. I am the noble demon eagle demon king. Damn it! There's a chef here. I must ask the others to leave quickly. His feet stepped on the void, and then the Black Dragon King's figure instantly soared into the sky, landing on the demon eagle's back. He, the demon eagle demon king, was not stupid. The Black Dragon King once again landed on the water column, handing the two huge demon eagle wings to Bufang. Why is that chef haunting us? We have already settled for the next best thing, coming to the endless sea. That chef. I'm afraid he's poisonous. The more he thought about it, the more the demon eagle demon king's heart ached. Looking at the demon eagle wings that the Baldy was holding, looking at his charming wings being torn apart just like that, the demon eagle felt as if his heart was being torn apart. When the Black Dragon King saw this scene, he couldn't help but shake his head. The demon eagle demon king seemed to be drunk, staggering in the void. Finally, he appeared not far from the warship. When the various demon kings saw the demon eagle demon king's appearance, their hearts trembled. In the next instant, his entire face became ferocious, and his figure suddenly elongated. Black scales grew on his skin, turning into a long, ferocious black dragon, coiling around the demon eagle demon king's figure. This is too much. The dragon opened its mouth, and sharp fangs appeared in its mouth. It fiercely bit down on the demon eagle demon king's wings. The demon masters were all discussing animatedly. The netherworld ship was in front, and the chef from the Valley of Gluttony was also in front. He didn't want to continue fighting. Borrow a pair of wings? The various demon kings' faces were blank, and then they were pleasantly surprised. Who exactly was this bald-headed geezer? The demon eagle demon king's proudest thing was his pair of wings. If he lent his wings to someone, what was the difference between that and plucking all the hair on his body? What's more, how could he get his wings back after lending them? His wings had been plucked away. The demon eagle demon king's heart softened, and he almost peed in his pants. When he regained his senses, he was enraged. The demon eagle, who had lost his wings, instantly lost his balance, and started to fall rapidly in the void. The Black Dragon King pursed his lips. That guy actually dared to threaten the Black Dragon King of the Endless Sea Dragon Palace. He must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. The demon eagle demon king roared. He wasn't the demon frog demon king, so how could he be an ingredient? The corner of Bufang's mouth twitched. He didn't think that the Black Dragon King would really pluck the Demon King's wings off. Looks like I can only do it myself. Why don't you listen when I'm trying to reason with you? The strongest Demon King finally came out of seclusion. Look, the Demon Eagle is back. I told you that nothing would happen. Little friend Bufang, look, aren't these two wings not bad? Chapter 938. The Black Dragon King's skin was rough and his flesh was thick. Grabbing the lid of the boiling oyster, he wasn't afraid of the heat at all. He blew on the oyster to disperse the heat. Roasting oysters was actually very simple. There wasn't any complicated process. The main thing was the sauce used to roast the oyster. The sauce was the key to determining the taste. The Black Dragon King's eyes lit up. Another ingredient? The Black Dragon King swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Rumble! One of the Black Dragon King's subordinates instantly rushed out from the bottom of the sea. Stepping on a water column, he appeared in front of the Black Dragon King. Finally, he placed the processed oyster on the grill, roasting it together with the chicken wings. All of a sudden, a void crack appeared above the Netherworld ship. The Black Dragon King sucked in a deep breath. I've been looking forward to it for so long. My opportunity is finally here. At this time, the grilled chicken wings were almost done. Standing in front of the warship, the strongest Demon King clasped his hands, narrowing his eyes as he looked at the storm in the void. The golden dragon bone kitchen knife appeared in Bufang's hand. He gently made a few cuts on the grilled wings, causing the taut meat to be immediately torn apart. The aroma of the meat became even more intense. However, he couldn't refute Bufang. Didn't he see that Hua's gloomy face brightened after hearing Bufang's words? Waves shot up to the sky at an extremely fast speed. With every step, huge waves would surge behind them. Delicious! The Black Dragon King could only reply to Hua with a helpless expression. If Bufang didn't want to do it, he couldn't force Bufang to do it. The necessary seasoning for a roasted oyster was done. The amount of purple garlic was a little too much, which could remove the fishy smell of the oyster. The old man stared at the sky in the distance, his eyes becoming brighter. I can't let a demon eagle ruin my big plan. The strongest Demon King looked at the warship, at the Demon King, whose face was filled with despair. The muscles on his face couldn't help but slightly tremble. The chicken wings on the rack of the Black Turtle Constellation Walk, enduring the dark gold heaven and earth obsidian flame, were slowly turning golden. How could it be so delicious? With a shake of his hand, Bufang sprinkled the seasoning on the food. The aroma spread out like silk. The subordinate bowed respectfully towards the Dragon King and said, "When the wings were done, the Dragon Gate emerged. It smells so good, as expected of grilled chicken wings." A silhouette came riding on the wave. He glanced at the ingredients piled up on the Netherworld ship. With a move of his mind swept out, and all the ingredients were stored into the heaven and earth farmland. Receiving a conch from his subordinate, his mind flickered, and the conch blossomed with radiance. A wave of light swept across, and a huge pile of ingredients piled up on the deck of the Netherworld ship. While roasting the wings, Bufang said lightly. Hua and you watched resentfully as Bufang and the Black Dragon King ate the roasted oysters. They could only drool. However, the only response he got was Bufang's chuckle. The seawater exploded. The oyster that the Black Dragon King's subordinate found was quite big. The meat was plump, and it looked very appetizing. Moreover, with the seasoning that Bufang had added, the taste would definitely be explosive. Bufang narrowed his eyes, enjoying the rich and pure flavor of the sea. Then, he said, "Dogs have a much more comfortable life than you." As the delicious taste burst forth, Bufang's eyes slightly lit up. It was only now that he was able to taste such a steaming hot, fragrant and delicacies that left a lingering fragrance in his mouth. In the sky, thunder boomed. The air was filled with a solemn atmosphere, making it hard for everyone to breathe. In the sky, when the chicken wings are done, Hua can eat first, then, under the watchful eyes of many oceanic species experts, with a slurping sound, he swallowed the big piece of oyster meat. That storm had been brewing for a long time, and it seemed like a miracle was about to happen. All of the oceanic species creatures became excited, letting out all kinds of exclamations. That would be a little too much. A wave of meaty aroma spread out, stirring people's taste buds. Many people couldn't help but look in the direction where the aroma was coming from. The moist ingredients released a rich smell that belonged to the sea. In the oyster meat, all kinds of seasoning had melted together, and a thick fragrance burst forth. It was very rich, and with the spiciness of the exploding flame pepper, it was even thicker. Sizzle! 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 As a father, the Black Dragon King didn't dare to make his daughter angry. Hence, when the Black Dragon King said that he had wasted his life, Bufang didn't agree. The demon kings of the ruined prison had never suffered such grievances before. In an instant, all of them became silent. Oil continuously dripped from the chicken wings. After all, this was a demon king-level ingredient, so it took a long time to cook. That was because the strongest demon king didn't seem to have any intention of helping them. The whirlpool of clouds began to spin, and lightning continuously shot out. The strongest demon king said in a serious tone. The Black Dragon King looked at Bufang, saying. All the demon kings were slightly taken aback. Then, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes as they looked at the demon eagle demon king were filled with a lot more sympathy. Bufang also took a grilled oyster, stuffing it into his mouth. A portion of grilled oyster was instantly lifted up, flying towards the Black Dragon King. In the distance, on the warship of the ruined prison, little friend Bufang, grill an oyster for this dragon's daughter. It seemed like the dragon's gate was about to open. However, right now, Bufang's main goal was to grill the chicken wings. Taking out the shell of the oyster, he also took out the cleaned oyster meat and placed it back into the shell. Then, he scooped 1 or 2 spoonfuls of seasoning. Bufang's secret grilled chicken wings. Done. The Black Dragon King's face instantly stiffened. Of course, if Bufang knew what he was thinking, he would definitely chuckle. Every day, the Lord Go would wake up and eat. After eating, he would sleep. What he ate was the sweet and sour ribs that he had cooked. The taste of the sweet and sour ribs was not any worse than the grilled oyster. They were indeed in the wrong. Back then, before the strongest demon king closed the restaurant, he had instructed them. However, they didn't listen and acted on their own. In the end, they suffered heavy injuries. The Black Dragon King's face was a little dark, and his bald head was shining. In his heart, he was praying that the dragon gate would open after he finished his grilled chicken wings. As he bit down, the juices in the oyster meat seemed to burst out, spraying onto the walls of his mouth. This caused the Black Dragon King's eyes to suddenly widen and become round. His eyes filled with excitement. The Demon Eyes Demon King was beaten up, and only his eyeball was left. The Demon Frog's Demon King was slaughtered and used as an ingredient. Then, looking at Bufang, he was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. However, this dragon gate wouldn't open when little friend Bufang finished grilling the chicken wings, right? Bufang looked at the Black Dragon King and said calmly. They also didn't want it to be like this, but the development of things often deviated from their expectations. Bufang, on the other hand, didn't care in the slightest. Regarding the so-called opening of the dragon gate, it wasn't as important as the dish in his hands. Grilling the chicken wings was his current priority. Then, under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, a door that emitted an extreme radiance slowly emerged from the vortex of black clouds. Juice droplets splashed into that flame, and after they evaporated, they let out sizzling sound. The strongest demon king coldly snorted, causing every demon king to feel a wave of bitterness in their hearts. A layer of golden oil was brushed on it, causing the grilled chicken wings to look golden and shiny. Bufang moved closer to take a look. After carefully observing it for a while, he could confirm that the oyster was already grilled. As time passed, the oyster that was placed on the grill had already started to boil. The meat inside was slowly jumping because of the scalding soup. However, when he inhaled, he instantly smelled the aroma of grilled chicken wings, causing him to involuntarily cough a few times. The demon eye was smashed, the demon frog was killed, and the demon eagle's wings were also plucked. Where do you guys still look like demon kings? Don't make a move. Do you see this storm? That's a sign that a good opportunity is about to appear. That little chef from the Valley of Gluttony also appeared here, which proves my guess even more. Bufang's gaze shifted to the oyster on the ground. Surging spirit energy gushed out from the vortex of black clouds. His mental energy surged out. The Black Dragon King stepped on the water column, both of his hands lying on the deck of the Netherworld ship. His mouth was wide open, and saliva flowed out. Your Excellency Dragon King, the ingredients you asked us to find have been found. A thunderous explosion resounded, and the entire sky seemed as though it was about to explode. Compared to grilling chicken wings, grilling oysters was indeed much easier. Far from the endless sea, the dragon bone kitchen knife was incomparably sharp. When it slashed down, it directly opened the shell of the oyster, revealing the flesh inside. Anyway, Nyo Han-san was in the heaven and earth farmland. That old cow would help him deal with the ingredient. He hoped that the strongest demon king would take action and kill the expert who insulted their demon king. It was an old man with his hands clasped. A tuft of white hair on his head swayed in the wind. A demon king looked at the strongest demon king and said, "The strongest demon king. The demon eagle's wings were plucked by someone not long ago. The other party is in the distance. It's a creature from the oceanic species." This kid didn't say that before. He said that he would let I taste the chicken wings first. With his mouth full, the Black Dragon King fiercely took a bite. Didn't I remind you not to provoke the Valley of Gluttony? Why didn't you listen? After eating a piece of oyster meat, the Black Dragon King was completely intoxicated, completely immersed in Bufang's delicious food. The Black Dragon King instantly became vigilant. He lifted his head, his incomparably sharp eyes gazing at the void. "This is a grilled oyster. You can try it." When the Black Dragon King saw Hua's pouting appearance, he was a little flustered. He took out some purple garlic, smashed it, and diced it. Then, he added some Sun Mother ginger, finely chopped exploding flame pepper, fragrant vinegar, wine, and other seasonings, stirring them. Woo, woo. While grilling the chicken wings, Bufang also paid attention to the process of grilling the oyster. Swish. "Little girl, why are you eating grilled oyster?" Rumble. The Black Dragon King was bewildered. Then, with a face full of joy, he received the grilled oyster from Bufang. Thick smoke billowed. It hovered above the endless sea, and the waves parted. Bufang took out the white oyster meat and washed it. However, Bufang still kept 2 oysters. Regarding grilled oysters, Bufang was also very interested. However, they soon realized that they were wrong. Sizzle! 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 The Black Dragon King was shocked, completely immersed. He couldn't imagine what kind of delicacy was in his mouth. The Black Dragon King felt that he had lived for so long in vain. The strongest demon king stared at the black cloud whirlpool, and the smile on his face gradually became thicker. The strongest demon king said coldly. His voice contained a bit of pressure, causing the other demon kings to tremble slightly. Then, a fat dog slowly walked out of the void crack with its enchanting cat-like step. Bufang's control of the fire was very meticulous. He wouldn't let the chicken wings get scorched. "Is it starting?" Bufang, who was grilling the chicken wings, instantly furrowed his brows. Chapter 939. The next time it appeared, it was in front of the Black Dragon King. Grabbing the wing, he bit into it. Instantly, the oil and meat juices splashed out. In front of all the oceanic species experts, Bufang, who was standing on the netherworld ship, slowly took a step forward. Sweet and sour dragon ribs. The Black Dragon King was bewildered. What was that thing? His wing, which clearly belonged to him. In the end, it was snatched away by that lazy dog. In the distance, the stench of blood instantly filled the air. The oceanic species experts were extremely vigilant as they stared at that warship. Hua had already eaten until her mouth was full of oil. Her small mouth pouted, spitting out a bone. Lord Go narrowed his eyes, taking elegant cat-like steps as he descended from the sky. Soon, he landed on the netherworld ship. The wing, which was covered in all kinds of seasonings, emitted steam. Lord Go mercilessly snatched it away. Lying on the side of the netherworld ship, he began to chomp down on it. Very good. Follow me to the Heaven Chief realm, the light figure said indifferently. It was high and mighty, as if it was a big charity. However, before the Black Dragon King could stabilize his body, the Demon Eagle Demon King popped his head out from behind the strongest Demon King. Seeing the Black Dragon King's shining eyes, he was so scared that his entire body shivered. Wait a minute. Bufang suddenly remembered that the chef in the Bronze Palace had said that if Bufang wanted to enter the Heaven Chief realm, he would need to use the strand of immortal energy he had absorbed as the key. The Black Dragon King's bald head shone as he roared. Lord Go opened his mouth and stuck out his tongue, revealing an incomparably excited expression. The turtle that had transformed into an old man turned a deaf ear to the strongest Demon King's words, continuing to rush towards the Dragon Gate. That was because he had heard Bufang's somewhat embarrassed words. Lord Go once again raised his exquisite dog paw, slapping down. With a boom, the Black Dragon King was once again smashed into the water. The Black Dragon King instantly looked like he was about to explode. Fragrant, spicy, crispy, delicious. The dog's fur was stained with fragrant oil. The huge old tortoise was also sent flying by the axe. The Lord Go was stunned. He turned his head around and saw the Black Dragon King. In an instant, his eyes lit up. That was because they discovered that their supreme Black Dragon King was actually beaten by a dog to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. It smells so good, so it should taste even better, right? The aroma of the roasted wings lingered in the air, causing the Demon Eagle Demon Master's face to darken. Bufang praised. Lord Go glanced at the Black Dragon King and said indifferently. However, it was directly shattered by a powerful force, and thick blood immediately appeared on the surface of the sea. The strongest Demon King's eyes narrowed. Then, he let out a deafening roar. In the next instant, his body suddenly expanded, and his muscles were like a horned dragon. One for Bufang, one for Hua and you, and the last one I heard that you want to eat dog meat? In the distance, the Black Dragon King, who was stepping on the water column, saw this scene and his eyes widened. Then, his figure disappeared from the spot as if he had teleported. The light shadow turned around, intending to walk towards the light gate. Dragon? And it's a dragon with the bloodline of the divine dragon. Bufang brat. Lord Go, I want to eat sweet and sour dragon ribs. Following that, everyone was stunned. Especially the oceanic species expert. Their faces looked as though they had seen a ghost. Then, a cold voice opened. Where is the mortal who obtained the key to the Heaven Chief realm? Please come out. Then, the Black Dragon King opened his mouth, preparing to speak. However, the Lord Go's exquisite dog paw had already come out, patting the Black Dragon King's bald head. The Black Dragon King staggered, and his figure seemed to turn into a shooting star in the air, suddenly crashing into the endless sea. The Dragon Gate has appeared. Charge! The strongest Demon King held the giant axe, as though he could hold the pass alone against 10,000 enemies. The oceanic species creatures slapped the water, rushing out of the seabed, leaping towards the light gate in the sky. All the creatures in the surrounding endless sea became restless at this moment. "You mangy dog, you actually want to eat the Black Dragon King?" A figure shrouded in golden light stepped out of the light door. Blood splattered across the sky. He glanced at the dazzling gate in the sky, and white smoke puffed out from his nostrils. He stared at the light gate in the sky, his heart surging. As expected, the opening of the dragon gate made his old friends impatient. Biting a piece of tender wing skin, it was as though the wing skin had an elastic texture, bouncing in the walls of his mouth. Sweet and sour dragon ribs, the dish that Bufang Brat is best at. The taste is excellent, and the dragon meat is crispy. Rumble! Bufang looked at the Lord Go and the Black Dragon King, not saying anything. What should he do? Bufang couldn't help but be bewildered. What just happened? He didn't think that the Eagle Demon King's meat would be so fragrant when roasted. Interesting. I don't have any wings anymore. Suddenly, the Lord Go's dog paw lightly tapped on the Netherworld ship. He was the one who got the wings, but he didn't even get to eat a fart. Then, the Black Dragon King came back to his senses. His bald head seemed as though it was about to explode. Seeking death. This was a Demon King grade ingredient. It was roasted until it was golden and tender. The roasted wing meat was emitting a golden radiance. That light figure's eyes were high up in the sky, indifferently glancing at the strongest Demon King. In the next instant it raised a finger. It caused huge waves to rise in the endless sea. "Here," Bufang said expressionlessly. "Who do you think you are? What right do you have to make us scram?" The appearance of the light gate seemed to be some kind of signal. Could it be that it smelled the roasted chicken wings? Indeed. Other than food, nothing could attract this lazy dog. "You fat dog, this Dragon King wants to eat you. The taste of dog meat is absolutely delicious. It's even more delicious than the oysters that little friend Bufang roasted." Most of the oceanic species creatures jumped up halfway before losing their strength and falling back into the sea. Countless splashes flew everywhere. The Black Dragon King's eyes shrank. He didn't think that the lazy dog's speed would be so fast. Hua and you were a little dumbfounded as they looked at the dragon and dog fighting against each other. They didn't understand the situation. "Then let's just force our way through." The rich fragrance made Bufang involuntarily narrow his eyes, and the corners of his mouth slightly rose. That electric eel that had transformed into a man revealed a mouth full of sharp fangs, coldly laughing. The axe fiercely chopped down, and that electric eel expert who was releasing lightning was chopped into two halves. The light gate behind the strongest Demon King opened with a creak. The huge figure in the air changed, finally turning into a human form. With a face full of desire, it rushed toward the light gate. Then, it raised its head, looking at the light gate. Bang! 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 Lord Go didn't think that once he came out, he would actually encounter such an unlucky thing. There's still that old turtle that won't die. However, before Bufang could prepare to force his way through, the strongest Demon King standing on the warship had already started to attack. The entire endless sea was blasted apart. However, that immortal energy was absorbed by the system, so Bufang couldn't use it at all. Today, Bufang wanted to take a good look. In these 3 years, he had been waiting for this entrance to appear. The Black Dragon King gave in. He couldn't beat this dog. He had to admit this point. This was what all the oceanic species creatures thought. Some oceanic species creatures rushed out of the sea, wanting to stop the warship. Suddenly, the Black Dragon King's eyes slightly lit up. Many Demon Kings also had a strange expression, looking at the Eagle Demon King with a strange gaze. Lord Dog was lying at the side, holding a barbecued wing in his mouth, and eating it noisily. It wasn't just the strongest Demon King. Bufang instantly froze. Why did this lazy dog appear? Nethery was also nibbling crazily. She was enjoying the food. The light shadow indifferently scanned the entire place. However, The others were eating with relish, not caring about the Black Dragon King at all. The Lord Go said that in the Heaven Chief realm, there were many amazing chefs, and Bufang was still far from them. This time, he wouldn't miss it. Even if he had to force his way in, he had to go in and obtain a higher level of opportunity. The roasted wing had lost its skin, revealing the tender meat. There was oil flowing on the meat. The person who obtained the key to the entrance? The strongest demon king's figure was directly smashed into the endless sea from the void. The Black Dragon King seemed to have been revived. Stepping on the water column, he stared at the warship in the distance. Instantly, from the sea, a pitch-black dragon wriggled out, letting out a deafening dragon roar. Its eyes stared at the Lord Go, incomparably fierce. A finger pointed out. Hua opened his mouth, revealing an excited expression. With a ferocious leap, he threw himself beside the Lord Go, hugging the Lord Go's thigh. The Black Dragon King's heart ached so much that he almost went crazy. Water splashed, and the Black Dragon King's face was filled with confusion. At the front of the warship, a tall and sturdy figure stood with his hands clasped behind his back. The strongest Demon King's body was surrounded by terrifying nether energy as he stared straight ahead. He had waited for 10,000 years, and today, it finally appeared in front of him. That key to enter the Heaven Chief realm, it seems like I accidentally lost it. What was being roasted was his heart and liver. The Black Dragon King's heart was bleeding. Looking at the people eating with relish, he laid on the netherworld ship, feeling like there was nothing left to live for. Bufang felt a little pain in his balls. Every time he rushed out of the sea, he would be smashed back into the water by the black dog. Fortunately, he was the Black Dragon King. His skin was rough and his flesh was thick, so he could take a beating. Yu's eyes flashed, and she respectfully nodded her head. Bufang also tidied up properly, solemnly looking at the light gate. Turning his head to look at the warship in the distance, the Black Dragon King felt a familiar aura on that warship. However, the strongest Demon King's attention was not on this. Instead, it was on the light gate above his head, which was blooming with extreme radiance. A giant scarlet axe appeared in the strongest Demon King's hands. Terrifying spiritual energy spread out from it. Hua and Yu also saw the Lord Go. A pitch-black warship leisurely sailed over. He took out the dragon bone kitchen knife, cutting the roasted wings on the grill into two. Bufang thought about it, and it seemed like this was the only way. Hey Bufang brat, what's this fragrant smell? Above his body, arcs of electricity soared into the sky. Suddenly, the strongest Demon King stood proudly in the sky, just a step away from the light gate. He turned around, roaring at the oceanic species creatures below. All of you scram! This opportunity belongs to this lord. Everyone was stunned, looking at each other in dismay. Hearing the Black Dragon King admit defeat, the Lord Go finally put down his dog paw. Striding with graceful cat-like steps, he returned to the netherworld ship. What was the legendary Heaven Chief realm like? The warship was trampled until it almost sank into the sea. The seawater exploded, and several terrifying oceanic species creatures rushed out. Was that the entrance to the Heaven Chief realm? Why did the Lord Go and the Black Dragon King quarrel as soon as they met? The Black Dragon King was dumbfounded. Then, he felt as though he had nothing left to live for. His round bald head seemed to become dim at this moment. That meant that Bufang had already lost the key to enter the Heaven Chief realm. However, the Dragon Gate was not that easy to jump. You black dog! Let go of my daughter! The Black Dragon King roared, glaring angrily. One wing could be cut into two, so there were 4 pieces in total. The Lord Go calmly said, "This is that stinky electric eel. He actually wants to jump through the Dragon Gate." After the Lord Go finished eating the wing, he stuck out his tongue and licked his paw. He also licked the juice on his dog fur, not letting go of a single drop. However, after taking a step, his body stiffened. Who knew where this dog came from? His fighting strength was so high that he almost couldn't withstand a single paw. Jumping through the dragon gate, he had become a divine dragon. The Black Dragon King's eyes were bright. He saw many old friends among them. A rumbling sound rang out. The strongest Demon King's figure was like an arrow shooting straight up. Chapter 940. At this moment, the air was silent for a second. Only the howling wind of the endless sea and the sound of the waves hitting the reef could be heard. The figure standing in front of the light door slowly turned around, looking at Bufang. Although it was hard to see him clearly because his entire body was shrouded in light, everyone could still feel the anger coming from him. "What are you talking about, mortal? The immortal energy key is lost." The low voice contained a trace of suppressed anger, resounding in the sky. Bufang raised his head, looking at the light shadow. His face was expressionless as he said, "Yeah, I lost it. Do you think I'm stupid? You can lose the immortal energy? Tell me, how did you lose the immortal energy?" The light shadow asked coldly. The immortal energy key was directly imprinted in his body, so it was impossible to lose it. Even if others wanted to snatch it, they couldn't. This mortal actually told him that the immortal energy key was lost. Why didn't he lose his entire body? "If I lost it, I lost it. What else can I do?" Bufang curled his lips. He was a little depressed. The immortal energy was absorbed by the system. What else could he do? Moreover, a wisp of immortal energy had increased his business by so much. This was something that made him feel happy. Bufang was very satisfied with how he used that wisp of immortal energy. "If I lost it, I lost it? You mortal! You're really audacious. How could the quota this time be given to a bastard like you?" The light shadow was enraged, roaring in the void. Boom! The sea suddenly exploded. In the next instant, the strongest Demon King soared up into the sky. With a stomp, waves splashed everywhere. "You dare to hit me?" The strongest Demon King held the scarlet giant axe in his hand. His eyes were scarlet, and they were filled with a ruthless aura. The giant axe fiercely slashed at the light shadow. Instantly, a sharp axe shadow appeared, as though it wanted to tear the void apart. On the body of the strongest Demon King, the demon marks instantly spread, covering his entire body. Roar! Someone from the Netherworld's ruin prison? That light figure seemed to be attracted by the strongest Demon King's attack, and couldn't help but narrow its eyes. He actually met people from the ruin prison in the Hidden Dragon continent. Had the ruin prison invaded the Hidden Dragon continent? Buzz, that light figure, indifferently glanced at the strongest Demon King, then stretched out his hand. With a point of his finger, the shadow of the axe instantly dissipated. The strongest Demon King was instantly blasted down from the sky by a terrifying pressure. Suddenly, it landed on the endless sea. The airwaves spread out, causing waves to roll up continuously. The light figure tilted its head and said coldly, "Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish." As the palm slammed down, it immediately turned into a palm of light that blotted out the sky. The waves caved in, forming a giant palm print. Everyone in the distance sucked in a breath of cold air. How could this light figure be so powerful? The Black Dragon King pursed his lips. Fortunately, he didn't make a move. Otherwise, he would be the one being slapped. However, the Black Dragon King glanced at the black dog lying not far away. He had a feeling that this black dog was stronger than the silhouette. Boom! An explosion rang out. Accompanied by an unwilling roar, the strongest Demon King was once again slapped into the endless sea. The light figure clasped its hands, as though it had just dealt with an ant. Its gaze turned to Bufang, landing on Bufang's body. Bufang's brows twitched. Instantly, he felt a wave of powerful mental energy sweep through his body. "There's really no immortal energy fluctuation. You weirdo actually lost the immortal energy key." That light figure also felt a little speechless. Since you don't have the immortal energy key, you have lost the right to enter the Heaven Chief realm. What a pity! You, a mortal, have lost a big opportunity because of your ignorance and stupidity. The light figure said, its voice not concealing its disdain. Bufang, who had lost the key, was like a mortal ant in its eyes. It didn't care about him in the slightest. Hearing the words of that light figure, Bufang slightly furrowed his brows. This fellow's words were really unpleasant to hear. Without the immortal energy key, he couldn't enter the Heaven Chief realm? But did he really have to go? Bufang took a deep breath. Then, he raised his head, still looking at the light figure with an expressionless face. What if I really have to enter the Heaven Chief realm? You don't have the right anymore. As long as I'm here, you will never have a chance to step into the Heaven Chief realm. Losing the immortal energy key is the same as losing your opportunity. You can only be a stupid mortal for the rest of your life. The light figure's words were sharp and disdainful. All the creatures in the endless sea felt a wave of pressure. Was that the high and mighty creature of the Dragon Gate? Bufang smacked his lips. It seemed like he really had to force his way in. All of a sudden, laughter rang out from afar. An old man slowly walked over from afar. The old man clasped his hands, and a tuft of white hair on his head fluttered in the wind. He stepped on the waves, looking high-spirited. The Heaven Chief realm, this old man is coming. The old man stepped on the waves, and his figure instantly shot up into the sky. Another person who doesn't know life from death? The light figure sneered coldly. In the next instant it stretched out a finger. It wanted to smash the old man who had shot up into the sky. Boom! At the same time, in the endless sea, another explosion occurred. The strongest demon king dashed out of the sea, his body covered in blood. His eyes were filled with thick murderous aura. Damn the Heaven Chief realm! I'm not going anywhere today. I'm going to fight you to death, you bastard! The strongest demon king's aura continuously surged. In the next instant, he and the old man appeared in front of the light figure at the same time. The two peerless experts approached at this moment. The spiritual energy on the old man's body continuously shot up into the sky. His divine altar appeared, and the divine flame burned. 8 divine flames flickered on the divine altar, and his aura was almost invincible. However, the light figure was only a little surprised. He didn't panic. A wave of invisible mental energy spread out from the light figure's body. The old man and the strongest demon king were instantly stunned. The aura on their bodies stagnated. Then, they were smashed down by the light figure with a finger. Your mental energy is too weak, the light figure said disdainfully. Without the immortal energy key, no one can enter the Heaven Chief realm. This is the rule, the light figure said faintly. Glancing at Bufang, he turned around and walked towards the light door. He planned to return to the Heaven Chief realm and end this time's opening. However, just when he was about to return, an indifferent voice rang out behind him. Wait! Bufang raised his hand, looking at the light figure as he shouted. The light figure furrowed his brows, slowly turning around. Without the immortal energy, no one can enter the Heaven Chief realm. But I still want to enter. You don't have the qualifications. Then, I will fight until I'm qualified, Bufang said seriously. The light figure was bewildered. Then, he couldn't help but laugh. In the next instant, a terrifying pressure was released from the light figure's body. The originally violent storm seemed to stop at this moment. The surging sea was incomparably quiet. What makes you think you can enter the Heaven Chief realm? The light figure looked at Bufang with disdain. How do you know if you don't try? Bufang said faintly. The people around were already dumbfounded. They had never thought that Bufang would dare to challenge the Dragon Gate's creature like that. That was an existence that even the Black Dragon King wasn't a match for. The Black Dragon King also struggled to turn his head under the pressure of the light figure, looking at Bufang. His eyes were full of admiration. He admired Bufang's fearless spirit. Actually, he was a little depressed. It turned out that he needed an immortal energy key to jump through the Dragon Gate. When his father entered the Dragon Gate, did he also have an immortal energy key? Damn it! That old fellow didn't say anything to him. He had to wait here like a fool. Now, he was shut out. That light figure was too strong. After all, it was a Dragon Gate's creature, and he couldn't resist it. Although Bufang was fearless, it was too stupid to fight against it. The Black Dragon King thought about whether he should open his mouth to stop it. After all, Bufang had a good relationship with his daughter. If Bufang was killed by the light figure, his daughter might be sad. Just as the Black Dragon King was hesitating whether to open his mouth or not, at the same time, Bufang's aura changed. His hair fluttered, and the vermilion robe on his body also fluttered. A wave of mental energy was like a sharp sword, tearing the light figure's mental blockade. Instantly, Bufang's figure slowly rose into the air. The light figure's eyes slightly shrank, looking a little frightened. The people around were also dumbfounded. The Black Dragon King's mouth dropped, his bald head shining. Bufang's mental energy wasn't weaker than a Saint Sovereign expert. If he used all his strength, he could even suppress a Saint Sovereign. However, compared to the vast mental energy of the light figure, this kind of mental energy wasn't enough. However, Bufang's spirit sea surged with monstrous waves. A moment later, a loud dragon roar resounded. Bufang's eyes bloomed with light. A golden divine dragon phantom rose behind Bufang. The dragon bone kitchen knife fell into his hand, becoming bigger. Holding it in one hand, it shone with a dazzling golden light. Bufang, who had completely released his mental energy, was like a long spear, tearing the sky, pressing toward the light figure. The light figure became more and more frightened. He found that his mental energy seemed to be unable to suppress Bufang. This mortal's mental energy was so strong. No, it wasn't strong. It was strange. This is the aura of an immortal tool. A mortal like you actually has an immortal tool. The light figure's eyes shrank. Then, he roared in shock. Bufang's mental energy was mixed with the tool spirit's energy, which made his mental energy even more condensed. Now, it was on par with the light figure, so what if you have an immortal tool? You dare to offend me? You have to die. Without the immortal energy key, don't even think about entering the Heaven Chief realm. The light figure roared. Rumble. Bufang expressionlessly released his mental energy. His mental energy and the light figure's mental energy collided, causing waves of rumbling sounds. Frowning, Bufang felt that his mental energy, which he had borrowed from the dragon bone kitchen knife's tool spirit, was still slowly being suppressed. Was this the mental energy of an expert in the Heaven Chief realm? If this mental energy was used to cook, no wonder the lazy dog said that the dishes cooked by the chefs in the Heaven Chief realm would be better than his. However, with a thought, the black turtle constellation walk emerged, floating not far from Bufang's body. An earthy yellow light figure exploded. Behind Bufang, there seemed to be an ancient existence slowly waking up. After the gold divine dragon, an earthy yellow-black tortoise, which looked like it was carrying a mountain on its back, also emerged. Bufang's mental energy instantly reached its peak. Instantly, Bufang's face became a little pale. At this moment, his mental energy had exceeded the limit of his body. The light figure was even more frightened. That mortal actually had an immortal tool. What was the background of this mortal? Was he the illegitimate son of the Heaven Chief realm's realm lord? However, no matter where he came from, at this moment, he was the ruler. You want to enter the Heaven Chief realm? Dream on. Since his mental energy couldn't compete, he would use his fighting power to make up for it. In his eyes, Bufang's fighting power was no different from trash. Boom. The mental energy that filled the sky swept over. Then, the light figure raised a finger, pointing at Bufang's body. Terrifying energy was released. If this finger touched Bufang, he would probably be blasted into pieces. Bufang's eyes shrank. The vermilion robe on his body flashed brilliantly. He was ready to activate the invincible realm. However, just as that finger was about to touch Bufang's body, Bufang's eyes widened. That light figure instantly froze, because in front of Bufang there was a fat black dog floating. Chapter 941. A Fat Dog. The light shadow's eyes instantly shrank. How could a dog appear here? Moreover, it could withstand the terrifying mental pressure and float between him and that mortal? The Lord Go wagged his tail. There was still juice from the roasted wing that he hadn't licked clean. Striding like a cat, he twisted his butt and swung his tail left and right. Bufang's face was a little pale. Forcefully urging the dragon bone kitchen knife spirit and the black turtle constellation walk spirit, which he had yet to fully control, made his body a little bloated. Below, the experts of the endless sea looked at the situation in the sky with strange faces. The power that Bufang had burst out was beyond everyone's expectations. Even the Black Dragon King was dumbfounded. They didn't think that the thin and weak Bufang, a chef, could actually burst out such a cultivation base. Looking at Bufang's true energy cultivation base, he was just at the divine spirit realm with one divine flame lit. In front of them, what difference was there between a divine spirit realm expert with one divine flame lit and an ant? One slap was enough to slap him to death. However, Bufang's mental force was really too terrifying. When it first burst out, it was almost equivalent to the Saint Sovereign level. After the 2 consecutive bursts, it became fiercer and fiercer. Did this guy take drugs? Swish. In the endless sea, the strongest demon king and the old man with a tuft of white hair also climbed out of the sea. They raised their heads to look at the confrontation in the sky, their eyes flashing. That black dog finally made its move? The strongest demon king's heart sank. That black dog had always given him a feeling that it was a little like that powerful boss in Earth Prison. However, how could that boss appear in the hidden dragon continent? Hence, he had never been sure. This time, if the black dog could defeat that powerful creature from the Heaven Chief realm, there was no doubt that the black dog would become the boss of Earth Prison. He, the strongest demon king, had to lower his head in front of that black dog. The light shadow indifferently scanned the black dog. He was so angry that he actually laughed. Just a mortal, you dare to offend me? The light shadow sneered. A dog, a mortal, how could they stop him? Boom! The light silhouette once again set off a terrifying energy wave. The energy gathered and quickly formed a cone-shaped attack in front of the light silhouette. The cone-shaped attack flew toward Bufang and Lord Go. The void was completely torn by the cone-shaped attack. This move caused everyone's hearts to tremble in fear. Bufang's eyes widened too. He could feel a great sense of danger from the attack. Although the vermilion robe was invincible, he didn't know if it could withstand this move. On the other hand, the Lord Go was very calm. This calmness made the light silhouette even angrier. How could the black dog be so calm in the face of his killing blow? With his fiery temper, he absolutely could not tolerate such humiliation. Yawning, Lord Go raised his paw. A furry paw appeared in front of him. In the next moment, the cone-shaped energy attack was immediately blocked, and it was unable to advance at all. Everyone was bewildered. The light silhouette's eyes shrank, feeling extremely incredulous. What was that dog paw? It could even block this kind of attack? Crack! The exquisite dog paw patted, and the cone-shaped attack was instantly smashed into pieces. One paw had ended the light silhouette's killing blow. Looking at this scene, the corners of Bufang's mouth twitched. The Lord Go was indeed the Lord Go. On the Netherworld ship, Yu and Hua were cheering. Little Flower danced around excitedly. It was as if she had shattered the attack with a single slap. The Black Dragon King looked at the cheering Hua, and his heart sank to the bottom. It's over. That black dog's strength was enough to show off. Now, the black dog's position in his daughter's heart was infinitely high. As her father, he didn't know if there was still a place for him. No, not just the black dog. He, the Black Dragon King, also had to show off in front of his daughter. The Black Dragon King's eyes narrowed, and he rubbed his shiny bald head. With a stomp, the water column under his feet exploded. Daughter! Watch how your father shows off his true skills. The Black Dragon King roared. His figure was like a cannonball, shooting straight up into the sky, rushing toward the light silhouette. Bufang, my little friend, if you want to fight for a qualification, this Dragon King will accompany you. F***CK. That bastard still has a big move. The Black Dragon King shot up into the sky in high spirit. However, in the next instant, he saw the light silhouette roar, and a dense cone-shaped energy attack appeared around its body. Each cone-shaped energy contained terrifying fluctuations, causing the Black Dragon King's dragon scales to slightly tremble. Should he attack or not? The Black Dragon King hesitated for a long time. In the end, he let out a cry and pretended that his waist was cramping. Ah, my waist is cramping! The Black Dragon King screamed in the air, clutching his bucket-like waist. Then, the aggressive Black Dragon King shot up into the sky. Under the dumbfounded and speechless faces of the onlookers, he smashed into the endless sea, setting off monstrous waves. The Black Dragon King's subordinates were speechless, covering half of their faces. The corner of Aobi's mouth twitched. The ruler of the endless sea was actually AF** King Retard. The light silhouette was a little bewildered. Just now, something strange seemed to have fallen. However, he didn't think too much about it. That black dog could smash his cone-shaped energy attack with one paw. That black dog was incredible. Since it could smash one, the light silhouette wanted to see how many more it could smash. As the host of the Heaven Chief Realm, the light silhouette thought that he could receive all kinds of respect. However, to his surprise, these mortals actually contradicted him time and time again. They had even lost the immortal energy key. Even if they lost it, they still wanted to fight for a qualification. Were mortals nowadays so arrogant? Swish. Cone-shaped attacks shot out one after another. Compared to the first one, these attacks were much smaller. However, there were so many of them. These attacks were so dense that it made people's hair stand on end. If he was hit, he would be beaten to death. The Black Dragon King felt that he could be turned into a sieve by this attack. That was why he had a cramp in his waist. Lord Go glanced at the dense energy attack. Indeed, there were so many attacks that Lord Go was too lazy to use his paw to smash them one by one. Thus, Lord Go chose another way to deal with them. The dog opened its mouth. Instantly, under the horrified eyes of the onlookers, it became bigger and bigger. In the end, it seemed to be able to swallow the sky. Thousands of energies were drawn into the black dog's mouth. With a grunt, the black dog swallowed them all. The light silhouette was dumbstruck. The onlookers were dumbfounded. The entire endless sea was silent except for the sound of waves. That dog was probably a spirit. Burp. Lord Dog let out a burp, and his expression furrowed. He wasn't satisfied with the taste. Compared to Bufang's chicken wings, the taste was like heaven and earth. Boring. Lord Go is too lazy to talk to you. A magnetic voice rang out. A moment later, the light silhouette found that the black dog had appeared in front of him. Bang! A paw patted his head. The light silhouette made a tearing sound. As if it could tear the sky, it was directly smashed into the endless sea from the light door. The waves exploded. My paw didn't smash it. Lord Go was a little bewildered. Swish. Steam rose from the sea, and steam billowed. That light silhouette rushed out of the sea. Half of its face had collapsed. Without a doubt, this light silhouette wasn't a human. It was just a clone. The experts of the endless sea all took in a breath of cold air. If a clone was so strong, then the real body. How terrifying would it be? Even the Black Dragon King wasn't its opponent. Who said that this Dragon King isn't its opponent? This Dragon King's waist is just cramping. When my waist recovers, I'll beat this bastard to death. The Black Dragon King floated on the sea, rubbing his bald head as he shouted. Yu and Hua rolled their eyes. The strongest Demon King and the old man were silent. They were very clear about this light silhouette's strength. It was stronger than them, roughly equivalent to a peak existence in the ruler realm. The so-called ruler realm was a powerful existence that had ignited 9 divine flames and 9 marks of the heavenly ethereal realm. However, this light silhouette was actually just a clone. The strongest Demon King's eyes burned. The Heaven Chief realm was indeed a good place. Boom, boom. The sea's surface boiled. That light silhouette slightly squatted. In the next instant, it shot up into the sky, turning into a golden streamer as it headed straight for Lord Go. However, in the next instant there was another explosion. Under everyone's dumbfounded gazes, the light silhouette that had just shot up was once again smacked down by a dog's paw. It was the kind of paw that lightly smacked down like a rubber ball. The light silhouette crawled up from the sea's surface. This time, half of its body had collapsed. How could there be such a powerful existence in the hidden dragon continent? Did he come to the wrong place? The light silhouette was a little confused. There was a swoosh. The sea's surface didn't have any ripples. The Lord Go landed on the sea's surface. Stepping on the water, he hovered in front of the light silhouette. At first, I wanted to leave a good impression on those old fellows in the Heaven Chief realm. But now, it seems like I should forget about it. Your appearance is really asking for a beating. The Lord Go said casually. That light silhouette was dumbfounded. What did he mean by leaving a good impression on those old fellows in the Heaven Chief realm? Why did this black dog sound like it was very familiar with the immortal cooking realm? A dog that was familiar with the Heaven Chief realm. Wait a minute. The light silhouette's eyes shrank. Then, it stared at the Lord Go as if it had seen a ghost. You are. It seems you recognized me. Lord Go, I've become so fat. You can still recognize me? The Lord Go was surprised. The light silhouette shivered, its eyes gazing at the Lord Go. All of a sudden, the Lord Go raised its small dog paw, touching the head of the light silhouette. Don't send any messages. Don't talk. When we get to the Heaven Chief realm, I'll greet the Lord Go one by one. The light silhouette shivered. It opened its mouth, roaring. However, as soon as it roared, the light silhouette's body exploded. It turned into light beams, dispersing between heaven and earth. Swish. A token with the word Earth carved on it fell on the Lord Go's paw. An Earth immortal puppet? It's not a bad idea to give it to that lump of iron to Xiao Bai. Maybe that lump of iron has evolved again. The Lord Go tossed the token in its hand, its mouth twitching. In the next instant, it strode with enchanting cat-like steps, twisting its doggy, but as it returned to the netherworld ship, Xiao Bai's body flickered with lightning, standing on the deck of the ship. Seeing Xiao Bai, the Lord Go directly threw the token to it. A black hole appeared on Xiao Bai's abdomen. The token that fell from the light silhouette was swallowed by Xiao Bai. A series of crunching sounds resounded in everyone's ears. In the next instant, everyone went crazy. Bufang landed on the netherworld ship with a pale face. It looked at the Lord Go, but it didn't say anything. Then it looked around. The receiver of the Heaven Chief realm was killed. Up in the sky, there was only a bare door of light left. On the endless sea, all the experts soared into the sky like crazy. They turned into a sky full of people rushing toward the door of light. Chapter 942. The Dragon Gate's receiver had been killed. No one could stop them from leaping through the Dragon Gate. The oceanic species experts were completely stirred up at this moment. The Dragon Gate had an indescribable position in the hearts of every oceanic species expert. The Dragon Gate symbolized opportunities. Once they crossed the Dragon Gate, it meant that they had obtained an unparalleled opportunity. They could become experts, and they could even obtain eternal life. Within the Dragon Gate, there was an opportunity to become a true dragon. In an instant, an uproar broke out. All the oceanic species experts, who were originally hovering above the endless sea, were stirred up at this moment. Boom, boom, boom. A giant sea turtle carried a shell the size of a small mountain on its back, swimming towards the light door. The seawater flowed in reverse, and a giant whale spewed out a water column, rushing towards the sky. All kinds of oceanic species creatures were completely stirred up at this moment. For their dreams, they dashed towards the light door. The strongest demon king stood on the sea surface, raising his head to look at the light door in the sky. For a moment, he was a little absent-minded. The old man laughed, rubbing the tuft of white hair on his head. His face revealed a look of excitement. With the opening of the Heaven Chief realm, he could finally come in contact with more profound culinary skills. He had already reached a higher realm. On the warship, the Demon King experts were also extremely excited. On the Netherworld ship, Bufang and the others stood leisurely. As more and more Oceanic Clans experts approached the light door, the door, which had been silent for a long time, finally unleashed a terrifying fluctuation at this moment. A dazzling golden hand slapped out from that light door. The terrifying fluctuation seemed to make the air difficult to breathe. Countless oceanic species creatures looked at this scene with a face full of fear. The dazzling golden hand swept across, bringing with it an unparalleled pressure. Any sea creature that came into contact with the giant golden hand would instantly explode with a bang, turning into a bloody mist that filled the sky. Broken corpses fell from the void, crashing into the endless sea, turning the entire endless sea into a sea of blood. The Black Dragon King lay on the water column of the Netherworld ship, looking at this scene in a daze. The eyes of Aobai and the others shrank. A chill instantly rose in their hearts. Fortunately, they were not blinded by the benefits, and they did not take the lead to charge forward. Otherwise, they would be the ones to die. The strongest Demon King's entire body shook. Looking at that dazzling golden palm, the corners of his mouth twitched. The tuft of white hair on the old man's head fluttered in the wind. His eyes froze and the smile on his face gradually froze. Run! Countless creatures of the sea tribes were roaring crazily. Those who hadn't been slapped to death rushed back to the endless sea as if they had just survived a disaster. It turned out that the Dragon's Gate was still the Dragon's Gate. If he wanted to go there, he would still have a slim chance of surviving. How could this be? The Black Dragon King looked at the sky filled with blood, and his pupils shrank. He was in a daze. Many of the dead creatures of the endless sea were his subordinate. It could be said that the Black Dragon King had suffered a heavy loss this time. According to the Black Dragon King's words, this Dragon King's world had perished. Of course, it wasn't that exaggerated. Although most people were blinded by the benefits, there were also many who were unmoved by the benefit. Hence, to the Black Dragon King, it was just a huge loss of vitality. The entrance to the Heaven Chief realm, even without a guide, isn't that easy to pass through. The old fellows of the Heaven Chief realm like to set rules the most. Ordinary people can't enter the Heaven Chief realm. Lord Go indifferently looked at the light door as he said. Even if there was no one to receive them, the other experts would still take action. Then how do we get in? The Black Dragon King was stunned. How do we get in? Bufang's face was pale. Glancing at the Black Dragon King, he indifferently said, "Of course we kill our way in." The Black Dragon King was slightly stunned. Why was this little chef Bufang's murderous aura so heavy? Couldn't he just sit down and talk about it? Although this dazzling golden palm is strong, compared to the fellow that Lord Go smashed into smithereens, it's still not just a little bit weaker. Those oceanic species experts that were slapped to death were just too weak. Without the corresponding cultivation base, they coveted things that were far beyond what they could obtain. Naturally, they had to be punished. As soon as the Lord Go's voice fell, the strongest demon king let out an angry roar. His figure stood on the sea for a long time. Unexpectedly, it rose again, becoming even taller. With an angry roar, his bull horns seemed to release a dazzling radiance. His figure soared into the sky, rushing towards the light door. Buzz, the dazzling golden palm once again slapped down from the light door. However, the strongest demon king's eyes were blood-red. Holding the huge battle-axe in his hand, he fearlessly rushed towards that golden palm. Boom! Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, the strongest demon king and that golden palm collided. A terrifying fluctuation immediately spread out. The only thing that resounded in the sky was the furious roar of the strongest demon king. The light was extremely dazzling. In the next instant, under everyone's shocked gazes, that golden palm was torn apart. The strongest demon king's entire body was bathed in blood. Taking a step forward, accompanied by a heaven-shaking laughter, he stepped into the light door. Yes, if you want to enter the light door, you can only kill your way in like that, bull. The Black Dragon King was a little stunned. Is this really okay? This Dragon King's wish is for world peace. However, after he said this, the white-haired old man also soared into the sky with a resolute gaze. His aura soared into the sky, tearing apart the curtain of the sky. Within the light door, another golden palm slapped out. The old man seemed to have used all of his skills. Finally, he tore apart that palm. The old man laughed loudly. His clothes were torn apart and his butt was bare. Under everyone's dumbfounded gaze, he stepped into the light door. If you don't have enough strength, if you want to enter the Heaven Chief realm, your outcome will be the same as those oceanic species creatures. However, if you have enough strength, tearing apart the barrier and entering is also possible. The Lord Go said. In the next instant, the netherworld ship floated up. You clasped her hands behind her back. Her long, black hair cascaded down, and there was a light in her eyes. In the next instant, the netherworld ship sped out, turning into a pitch-black light as it charged towards that light door. The Lord Go glanced at you, whose face was solemn. Then, he let out a long sigh. As expected, as the netherworld ship approached the Heaven Chief realm, a violent rumble resounded. Within the light door, a golden palm slapped out, causing the illusionary void to tremble. Rumble! The golden palm was covered with patterns. The patterns twined around, emitting a wave of mysterious fluctuations. However, facing this golden palm, the Lord Go just gently raised an exquisite dog paw. The dazzling golden palm was easily torn apart by this exquisite dog paw. This palm did not pose any obstruction to the Lord Go. The netherworld ship slowly moved forward, and under everyone's gazes, it entered the light door. Bufang stood in front of the netherworld ship, his brows slightly furrowed. In his eyes, the light door was constantly enlarging in front of him. Soon, as though it had passed through a layer of strange membrane, everyone's body shook. Bufang's pupils constricted. In his ears, the system's serious voice, which he had not heard for a long time, rang out. Temporary mission. Host, please open a branch in the Immortal King City of the Heaven Chief realm. Mission reward. Cutting immortal style. Temporary mission. Bufang was a little absent-minded. He did not think that the system would issue a temporary mission as soon as he entered the Heaven Chief realm. After listening to the contents of the temporary mission, Bufang felt his heart shrink. A moment later, inside the light door, everything seemed to be moving at a speed that surpassed the speed of light. The surroundings seemed to be filled with twinkling starlight. Outside the light door, in the sky above the endless sea at this moment, the light door quietly stood there, blooming with light. However, everyone could feel that the light from the light door was starting to dim, as though it was about to disappear. The Dragon Gate was about to close. Lord Black Dragon King. The Dragon Gate seems to be closing. Looking at the Black Dragon King, who was still hesitating, Aobai thought for a while, and then solemnly reminded him. The Black Dragon King turned his head, his bald head shining as though it was reflecting light. He looked at Aobai, his face emotionless. I got it. The Endless Sea's future depends on you guys. This Dragon King is going to take back Ai's daughter. The Black Dragon King said. A moment later, his figure soared up into the sky. With a sonorous dragon roar, the Black Dragon King turned into a pitch-black dragon. Baring his fangs and brandishing his claws, he hovered in the air, flying toward the light door. He wanted to step into the light door. However, just as he was about to enter the light door in the distant sky, a shadow suddenly dashed over. With a swish, it dashed in front of the Black Dragon King. What's going on? Can't you see that this Dragon King is going to challenge the Dragon Gate? Don't you know how to line up in a civilized manner? The Black Dragon King's face was ashen, opening his mouth to curse. Down below, the oceanic species experts, who were waiting for the Black Dragon King to show off his divine power, were speechless. They must have followed a fake Dragon King. All of a sudden, the Black Dragon King's cursing stopped, because he saw the shadow in front of him. With just a point of his finger, the shadow had shattered the gold palm. It was so easy, even more than that black dog. That fellow who had appeared out of nowhere was also a formidable expert. After that man had shattered the palm, he slowly turned around, his gloomy eyes raking over the Black Dragon King. Brother, I'm sorry. I'm in a hurry. I'll leave first. As soon as his voice fell, that man flew backward into the light door, his face gloomy. The Black Dragon King gawked, dropping his jaw. It turned out that there was such a thing? And who was that fellow just now? Did the Hidden Dragon Continent have another expert at this level? The Black Dragon King was bewildered. He used to think that he was strong. But now it seemed that he was really weak. Any random guy that came out of nowhere was stronger than him. Roar. With a dragon roar, the Black Dragon King soared up into the sky. This time, no one stopped him. A gold palm shot out from the door. The Black Dragon King roared crazily, raising sky-high waves. They hit the gold palm. After a long time, many pitch-black scales rained down from the sky. Under the watchful eyes of thousands of oceanic species experts, the Black Dragon King crawled into the light door. Daughter, your Black Dragon father is here. Accompanied by the Black Dragon King's roar, the light door slowly shrank. Eventually it disappeared. The Netherworld ship sped forward, as if it had surpassed the speed of light. After a long time, its speed gradually slowed down. Finally, the scene in front of them became bright. It seemed that they had finally finished traveling. Lord Go was lying on the Netherworld ship, snoring loudly. The speed of light didn't affect him at all. Yu's face was a little pale. She held onto the bed frame, constantly patting her chest. Hua hugged Lord Go's thigh, lying on the side, feeling dizzy. This feeling of flying at high speed made one's heart feel stuffy. Taking advantage of this time, Bufang began to slowly observe the surroundings. However, with just a glance, Bufang's brows couldn't help but twitch. The Netherworld ship floated in the middle of a dark green lake, and around it a terrifying aura spread. Many experts with auras not weaker than the divine spirit realm held weapons, tightly surrounding the Netherworld ship. These people wore silver armor, and their faces were solemn as they stared at the Netherworld ship. From these people, Bufang felt a wave of murderous aura. Chapter 943. The air was filled with thick spirit energy, which seemed to materialize. It was somewhat unbelievable. Compared to the Hidden Dragon Continent, the spirit energy here was much thicker. If there was a place that could be compared, it would be the Earth Prison of the Netherworld. However, the Heaven Chief Realm and the Earth Prison were different. At least, the Heaven Chief realm was not as gloomy as the Earth prison. In the sky, the sun was shining brightly. The sky was blue, and white clouds were slowly floating. However, compared to the Earth prison, the people in the Heaven Chief realm were not so friendly. Bufang blinked, looking at the silver-armored soldiers surrounding them. The aura of these soldiers was very strong. The weakest one seemed to have a divine soul realm cultivation base, and most of them had the aura of a divine spirit realm expert. With so many divine spirit realm experts surrounding them, the pressure they felt was enormous. The divine spirit realm was divided by divine flames. Igniting different divine flames represented the difference in cultivation base. Bufang's cultivation was different from these people. He had the system. Others needed to level up step by step, but he didn't. As long as he completed the required turnover, he would be able to level up. From igniting one divine flame, he could directly ignite 9 divine flames. He couldn't feel other people's bitter cultivation. As his cultivation base increased, Bufang could also feel that his connection with the god of cooking set was getting deeper. Whether it was the golden divine dragon spirit of the dragon bone kitchen knife or the spirit of the black turtle constellation walk, they could all appear in his spirit sea. He could even temporarily move the mental energy of the two to fuse with his, bursting out powerful strength. However, the vermilion-robed spirit, Bufang, had never sensed it. If he could fuse 3 spirit tools at the same time, Bufang felt that his mental energy would reach an extremely terrifying level. Bufang came back to his senses from his contemplation. The surrounding experts were closing in, constantly pushing the netherworld ship toward the center. These people were not friendly. Their bodies emitted a murderous aura, which made Bufang and Yu, who were on the netherworld ship, become serious. If it was just one divine spirit realm expert, then it would be fine. However, there were too many divine spirit realm experts present, and among them, there was no lack of existences comparable to the strongest demon king. Furthermore, the leading expert's aura wasn't any weaker than that of the receiver of the light gate. What were these people trying to do? Looks like it's you guys. How dare you break Lord Tongcheng's puppet clone? You mortals have guts. The silver-armored expert in the lead said with a cold expression. Doppelganger puppet, are you talking about the receiver of the entrance to the Heaven Chief realm? Bufang narrowed his eyes and asked expressionlessly. Mortal, you know something. Lord Tongcheng has ordered us to capture all the mortals who entered the Heaven Chief realm this time. If anyone resists, kill him or her. The silver-armored expert narrowed his eyes and bellowed. His voice turned into waves of air, causing ripples to form on the surface of the lake. Boom! In the next instant, 3 silver-armored experts dashed out. Their speed was as fast as silver lightning. Their long spears were like dragons stabbing out, causing the water in the lake to roll up. Bufang stood in front of the netherworld ship, his face serious as he stared at the 3 experts who were attacking him. His face was still a little pale, which was the aftermath of his confrontation with the receiver of the light gate. His mind flickered. The black turtle constellation walk instantly floated in front of him. Bufang's eyes narrowed. Then, the black turtle constellation walk emitted an earthy yellow halo. That halo covered the black turtle constellation walk, making people feel as though there was a giant black turtle slowly entrenched on it. Roar! The 3 silver-armored experts' faces were dazed. Then, they were hit by the black turtle constellation walk. 3 groans resounded. The 3 experts were forcefully slammed into the lake, causing water to splash everywhere. The black and white bandages on Bufang's arm scattered. He grabbed the black turtle constellation walk with one hand, indifferently looking at the large group of people in the distance. Is this how the Heaven Chief realm treats its guests? It's really disappointing, Bufang said calmly. You still dare to resist? The silver-armored expert narrowed his eyes, coldly looking at Bufang. Bufang's cultivation was actually not that strong. What was strong was that black walk. That black walk seemed a little special. Continue. I want to see how many people this kid can block. The silver-armored leader sneered. He waved his hand, and instantly, the sound of breaking air rang out. One by one, the silver-armored experts swooped down. The long spears in their hands looked as though they wanted to pierce a hole in the illusionary void. Bufang took a deep breath. His spirit sea instantly surged. A moment later, he smashed the Black Turtle Constellation Walk. True energy wrapped around the Black Turtle Constellation Walk, making it as heavy as a mountain. Those silver-armored experts wanted to resist the Black Turtle Constellation Walk, but in the end they all failed. They were smashed into the water. Although they weren't smashed to death, they were a little dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that they were smashed into such a sorry state by a walk. The leader looked at the scene, his face slightly solemn. This mortal. His cultivation is not that good, but he has a good walk. You two go. Take this mortal down from me. The leader looked at the two silver-armored experts beside him. These two people's cultivation was stronger than the others. Bufang sensed that they should be existences at the level of the strongest demon king. After all, the Heaven Chief Realm was the Heaven Chief Realm. It was a little higher than the Hidden Dragon Continent. In the Hidden Dragon Continent, the strongest demon king was basically an invincible existence. However, in the Heaven Chief Realm, two random experts were not weaker than the strongest demon king. Boom! Boom! The two of them responded and took a step forward at the same time. His feet stepped on the surface of the water, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the water. Clanging sounds echoed. The long swords at their waists were unsheathed. Sword light flashed, aiming at Bufang. Facing the Black Turtle Constellation Walk, their faces didn't change a bit. They were confident that they could resist the Black Turtle Constellation Walk. In their eyes, Bufang's technique was really bad. He was just swinging the walk without any rules, smashing it randomly. This kind of method was effective against others. However, to them, who were almost half a step into the sovereign level, it was like child's play. In just a blink of an eye, they could subdue Bufang. However, the two stepped on the water, and their faces suddenly changed. Above their heads, there seemed to be a swishing sound. A moment later, they saw a shiny bald head enlarging in their eyes. What was that? A bald head? A bald head falling from the sky. What the hell was that? Boom! The two experts were slightly stunned. Then, their faces changed. They raised their palms, wanting to smash the bald head that was falling from the sky. They were confident in their cultivation. However, their dreams were plentiful, but reality was more bony. The bald head smashed down. The two of them couldn't resist at all. They were smashed into the lake, heavily injured. A bald head smashing two people. What a weirdo. The bald head fell, floating above the lake. Behind the bald head, there was a gloomy figure, carrying him. The Black Dragon King widened his eyes, his mouth tightly shut. He didn't even dare to breathe loudly. What happened just now? Did he hit something strange? Hades' Era flicked his hair. The clothes on his chest were open, revealing his white skin. With one hand holding the Black Dragon King, he used the other to cover half of his face, revealing a gloomy pair of eyes. On the Netherworld ship, everyone looked at Hades' Era, who was carrying the Black Dragon King, and couldn't help but raise the corners of their mouths. Why would this clown appear here? That's right. The person who appeared at this moment was none other than Hades' Era. Let this Dragon King down. This dragon is a dragon, not a lantern. It's not for you to carry. The Black Dragon King struggled in Hades' Era's hands. His bald head constantly flashed with a bright light. Hades' Era raised his brows. He loosened his grip, and instantly, the Black Dragon King faced the lake. With a splashing sound, he fell into the lake, creating a huge splash. Walala! The Black Dragon King instantly flipped up from the lake, floating in front of the Netherworld ship. Can't you say something before you let go? The Black Dragon King was so angry that his head almost glowed. He stared at Nether King Erha, his face full of resentment. Looking at the Black Dragon King as though he was looking at an idiot, Hades Era grinned and climbed up the Netherworld ship. The Black Dragon King widened his eyes, watching as Hades Era climbed up the Netherworld ship and pinched his daughter's face. For a moment, the Black Dragon King wanted to fight Hades Era to the death. Hua has become fatter again. It seems that following Bufang young man is not bad. Hades Era pinched Hua's face and said with a smile. Hua rolled her eyes at Hades Era. She hugged Lord Go's thigh and harumphed. Daughter, your father is here. Do you miss your father? The Black Dragon King laid on the deck of the Netherworld ship, greeting Hua with a loving smile. However, it was obvious that Hua ignored him. Bufang looked at Hades Era, giving him a slight nod. I didn't want to go to the Heaven Chief realm. After all, I's identity isn't ordinary. However, after thinking about it, I realized that I didn't have any spicy strips left, and I couldn't imagine how I could live without them. That's why I came here. This is I's first time entering the Heaven Chief realm. However, this mangy dog has been here many times. Hades Era said. Had Lord Go been to the Heaven Chief realm before? Bufang had expected this, so he wasn't surprised. In the distance, the silver-armored commander's face was ashen. What the hell was going on? His two capable subordinates didn't even have time to use their moves before they were smashed into a daze. How could a mortal smash his subordinates into a daze? Were the mortals that powerful now? Damn it. It seems like I have to do it myself. To give Lord Tong Cheng an explanation, none of you mortals can escape today. The silver-armored commander said coldly. A moment later, a long silver spear appeared in his hand. The spearhead seemed to have a silver dragon head, which looked ferocious and mighty. Boom! The commander's aura burst out, creating huge waves on the lake. A terrifying and oppressive aura emitted from the commander's body. Everyone, listen to my order. Attack together. Capture those mortals. Don't hesitate to kill them. The commander held the long spear in his hand, brandishing it as he shouted. Roar! The silver-armored experts surrounding the Netherworld ship all roared loudly. At this moment, their auras were terrifying. Waves of aura shot up, making people shiver in fear. Even the Black Dragon King was startled, and his eyes widened. What was going on? Why were his friends in the Dragon Gate so unfriendly? Why were they different from what his father had told him? Hades Era looked at the scene with interest. As it was his first time coming to the Heaven Chief realm, Hades Era found everything new and interesting. Bufang looked at the crowd, exhaling gently as he put away the black turtle constellation walk. He turned to look at Hades Era. 5 spicy strips in exchange for 1 attack. Bufang said. Hades Era's eyes brightened, and the corners of his mouth rose. 2 more. There are a lot of people. Bufang was bewildered. Hades Era, this clown, had learned how to bargain. However, he didn't mind. Okay, 7 spicy strips. Beat them up. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.